one thing. Dark Souls. Save manager over here. Dark. Between this and we are gonna be watching other things though. Let's put in the second monitor. Let me just window capture. Property. Window. There we go. Okay. Let's put that like corner right here. I'm gonna just be watching videos of playing Dark Souls,
which I don't think he'd really want to take credit for.
I don't think anyone's on right now.
He really wanted to take credit for his joke, and he didn't listen to what Artie had to say, even though Artie was trying to give him good advice by telling him not to bring it up. But the next time Dave Chappelle was on the Stern Show, Bob called in and brought it up to him, and Dave had the perfect response.
Just
to embarrass Bob.
Hey, how you doing, Howard? Dave, I'm a big fan of yours, and I just wanted to know why one of my jokes actually ended up on your show one night.
All right. What is the joke?
I'm gonna beat my blank like it owes me money. It was in one of the songs.
Oh, because you're a hack.
I'm a hack and you're taking my stuff.
I'm gonna beat my blank like it owes me money. You wrote that?
Yes, I did write that, and I've been doing it for years, and it's been my opening line.
Oh, that's barbershop talk. And that's your opening line?
And yes, and well, it was on your show. I think you liked it.
I must have seen you at a home.
Well, you were at Caroline's one night for the Nasty Show with some of your friends that were in the audience.
Yeah, I was. You're right. I can't
Sex, class,
What was that?
deprives the poor, gift.
On the show with you a couple times.
Oh, Bob Levy.
Oh, Bob, that's you.
Yeah, I was going to say, is this the Reverend Bob?
Yeah.
Oh, look at Bob. You think Dave's taking your material?
I'm saying, why did the drop of the ball and get lazy?
man,
No,
nobody.
want to write or I'll write.
We're deprived from
Dave
getting
says he
nothing.
did not steal from you.
I'm not promise him, but I'm saying it was
Very
in
large.
the audience of the show, and they threw it in there.
You said I was in the audience stealing.
I know, you were at the show. You were at Caroline's. You were at the bar, and your friends came in. JC was there that night.
I promise you, Bob, nobody steals jokes on the show. I promise you. It's primarily me and one other dude. So
I mean, I've been doing that
probably
for
my
a long
hairstyle,
time. They're all
places.
on the show.
I don't know, man.
All right, Bob. Hey, Bob, what can I tell you?
The straight up need, guys.
Maybe great man.
I got leaked.
All right, Bob, thanks.
You got it.
Reverend Bob Levy.
In the age of ancients,
Over, I beat my blank like
the
it owes me
world
money.
was unfolded.
And then afterwards, I think Bob was kind of
Shrouded by
upset
fog.
that Artie didn't back him up or defend him. But, I mean, this is exactly how Artie thought it was going to go. You know, that's why I told him not to bring it up. But, of course, Bob didn't listen. So then Artie kept giving him shit for it. And during a roast that Bob was hosting, Artie roasted him
But
for it.
then there
And
was
he got
fire.
offended by it. You know, he's all sensitive about it.
And with
So Artie knew
fire
it was getting to him. But
came
he just
disparity.
enjoys messing with him.
Give me a
So
second.
he brought
Let
it
me
up
check out the
again on the
volume.
wrap-up
Is
show.
good. If
And
you
at
guys
that
can hear the
point,
game
Bob was
and
done,
everything.
and he ended up backing out of all the dates he was supposed to open for Artie because he thought Artie was hurting his career by continuing to bring this up. But I think Artie was just kind of annoyed that Bob didn't listen to him. And then also, after all this, Bob claimed another comedian stole another one of his
Then
jokes.
from the dark,
And of course, it's a joke
they
that has
came
been around forever that I'm sure a bunch
All
of
right.
people have come up
and
with.
found the
So I'm sure at
souls
that
of
point,
lords
Artie's just thinking,
within the
how does this
flesh.
Yeah,
guy
everything
not
sounds good.
realize
Yeah.
how ridiculous this all sounds? And then also,
Yeah.
he definitely does just like messing with Bob and bringing this up to him because he knows it gets to him.
And Bob explains the situation, and
the
Chappelle goes,
first
"Oh,
of the
so you must
day.
be a hack." And I said to Bob, "I can't defend you because I happen to agree with him." And so I stayed
witch of
quiet, and I think he was a
Isaac
little mad I didn't defend him.
and her
But I
daughters
said,
But
"Chappelle,
survives alive when their battles of chaos.
Grim,
I said,
the
don't do
Lord
that." He
of
sort of
Sunlight,
came off looking bad. And
and
the
his
first roast I was
faithful
on,
knights.
Ronnie Rose, Bob's the host, and I re-brought it up. you know, with a couple of jokes, and the jokes got good laughs. They were, you know, they were funny. But he wasn't in the roast spirit. He was mad at me for doing that. He thinks, and I said countless times, Bob, amazing comic. He kills. He's funny.
Challenge the dragon.
He's one of the best comedians I've ever seen on stage. But with that, it's just an issue I have with him.
Gwyn's mighty lords. Riches moved great firestorms. Unleashed a miasma.
Next, you're gonna take credit for guess what chicken butt, dude. The greatest joke of all time is
The
2020.
scales betrayed his own, and the dragons were known.
Listen, Artie,
But
you
there's
got
another thing we've had,
Thus
which is similar.
began
Richard Belzer, in a
Age
roast,
of Fire.
did a joke about someone who said the only way
You would be
I
funny.
the
know
only way you'd be
London.
funny, the only way you'd have a funny bone in your body is if I
And only
maybe
dark
show that on a roast, big roast. And says, now Belzer's ripping me off. And I said, Bob, really? You're going to claim you wrote that one too? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, yeah, I'm telling you I wrote it. And then you go in your head, well, someone had to write these jokes, I guess. But if you went to Belzer, and the only time sort of that shit is allowed and fun, and even Gilbert will tell you, he's not a roast, you know. That's when you can use those jokes. It's fun, you know, these old jokes that Dick Capri uses, you know.
of the accursed
And I said, so now I'm gonna, next time Belzer's on the show, I'm gonna go. I'm like, Bob, please don't do that.
Don't embarrass.
I can't just say how I'm trying to help him, and he thinks I'm
Mm.
insulting him. So the Chappelle thing, he even got off kind of easy, but if this ever gets into a real debate, and I said, Chappelle's a big star, you know, it's like...
And I think Bob was being way too sensitive about it, but Artie even admits that he likes to get Bob worked up. You know, he likes getting under his skin.
Yes,
and he
indeed.
knows this gets to him, so he
The
keeps bringing it
dark
up on air.
side brands
And
the
it's so funny
undead.
because Artie keeps saying he feels bad about it, and he tries to apologize to him, and he says he wants Bob to do the show.
And in
No
this land,
But then you can tell he just can't help himself at times, and he keeps
the
making fun of Bob
undead are
for basically being a
corralled
failed
and led
comedian.
to the north.
Like somebody
Poor
mentions
Alvin,
that
that's
Bob
so
already
nice.
found some new shows to do.
How come we're the healthiest looking undead?
And Artie makes a
Where
joke
they are
about it.
locked
You know, because
away
nobody really believes that
to
he was able to
await
find
the
another show
end
that
of the
fast.
world.
And then he eventually calls in, and Artie apologizes to him, but he said he already changed the dates, so Artie just keeps making fun of him.
I never agreed to do the Borgata with you yet.
Yes.
So Levy
Yes,
called me,
your
goes saying that he wasn't on the...
Wait, if I'm on the browser, my screen does it. Weird. I messed up. Wait a second. Yes, sir. Give me a second. I'm gonna be playing Dark Souls for a little bit. I'm gonna need to fix this. Put it over here and let's keep it like that. How does that look? Window capture. It just captures the window. Oh shit. Okay. That's cool. Oh, that's too much. Give me a second. I'll mess around with this. Oh, shoot. That's just a person. Yeah, that's just very cool. There, I solved it. I can have window capture on one screen and the game on the other one. Very dope. And now I can look for videos and stuff.
Or got it with you. I was thinking about doing it. He said he had another
It's just
gig,
capturing
so I said,
this
yeah, I'll do it.
window and then
Get another
nothing
gig
else.
so fast.
Oh, he gets gigs all the time.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So firehouses around, right?
See, that's the thing. I mean,
I think every town has a firehouse.
That's right. The issue Bob has is volunteer
I
firehouse.
get work anytime.
You don't know.
They got a oyster clam bake night.
Oh, man. He's going to be pissed.
Gonna be mad.
Time I
Bob,
go-
do you accept Artie's apology, or are you not? Are you sticking to your guns and not doing the show?
No, I booked all to the show.
Oh, come on, Bob.
In the same
You know,
town, the
now
same
you're-
night.
Now you're being ridiculous. Now you're being ridiculous.
Look, it fucking, I don't, it feels like I can't fucking trust somebody. I don't like to be around somebody like that. You know what I mean? I don't can do that to people.
You know, I'm sorry that, you know, because I've seen Bob kill so hard
Bro,
that people
chillin'.
are barreled over laughing and they actually hit their head on the post of the truck.
What truck is that?
Do it, Artie. In 5 years, you'll be fucking playing them.
No, I won't. I'll be dead in 5 years. Now, come on, you know that.
Yeah, so Artie just couldn't help himself, and Howard was trying to mediate a little bit, but of course he wasn't making things much better. Like Howard brings up that Artie mentioned the reason he likes to make fun of Bob and try to say things that get to him is because he could have seen a situation where his career might have played out like Bob's if he didn't get some lucky breaks. And I think Artie said this to try to sympathize with Bob a little bit. Like at one point he said the only difference in their careers is he just had more luck, which everybody disagreed with him on, but he was definitely trying to be nice to Bob. I was really offended by it, you know, because he's like, well, what's wrong with being me? What's wrong with my career? And Artie's like, oh, I wasn't trying to say that as an insult, you know, I was just saying there could have been a situation where I'd be struggling financially if I didn't get a couple lucky breaks.
I think it's because Artie has said it.
And I
said
beat
it
the
as early as
demon
this
with
morning.
just bare
Artie said,
bones.
you know, if it
I
wasn't
mean, I'm
for a
pretty
couple
much bare
breaks that
bones
I got,
already.
I could end up being Bob leaving.
No.
What? It ain't too fucking bad being me, okay?
No, Bob. I didn't say it's so bad. I'm saying
Yeah.
that, you know, he's a guy who, you know, has to work and get gigs and navigate now because I've been lucky. And I'm saying I can easily have that happen to me. I gotta go with the frame. So,
You're not going to be the after to be Bob leaving.
it can happen where I have bigger money. That's what I'm talking
But they have to go like
Right. That wasn't meant to be an insult. But I apologize for what I said. It was not mine. I'm being dead serious.
Artie, you did say there were plenty of firehouses.
I'm trying to be funny. Clearly, look, the king of the road here clearly is senseless. I mean, you know,
What makes this even funnier is nowadays
that asshole boy.
out of an old fire
That
station.
asshole
So
boy.
that would be perfect for Bob, but he needs to be careful.
That ass boy.
There, so he can steal more of his jokes.
Alright, we're almost there. Let's
There's
couple minutes.
a giant feud between Artie and some other comedians on the show because he called them the Hack Pack, which I'll probably cover soon.
Right, I forgot to rest
maybe
up the
over on
bun for it,
Patreon.
yep.
So if you guys enjoyed the video, if you like this kind of content, make. All right, so in
That's
this
an
video,
hour.
I'm gonna be taking.
Lip effects, what the fuck? Fuck it, dude. Let's listen to Peak right now. Y'all kids don't know nothing about this. This shit ain't nothing to me, man. My soul is like, I'm ready for round two, biatch. And that asshole boy. I like that shit. keep a leg on there. Need that ass. Real nice and good. Bullshit. Hold down the speed. HP. What the fuck it's called? Damn it.
Tophia Chu has betrayed everyone. After gaining a massive amount of sympathy in the wake of the tragic carjacking that her and her family were involved in, she would make almost every wrong decision possible, turning nearly every last one of those people once sympathetic into people who are now more critical than ever. Most of said criticism revolving around Tophia's poor financial decisions in such a crucial time of her life. Her mother is still recovering, and her brother is yet to be buried. But as you'll see in this video, Tophia has been spotted numerous times shopping, and even once at the casino gambling. Buckle up, because these last 4 months for Tophia have been peak hypocrisy. It all began in April, and Tophia had still not yet received the GoFundMe money, but had also seemingly burnt through the majority of money sent to her in the wake of the carjacking, so she would begin to post more, of course, asking her audience for money.
I'm trying to wait for the GoFundMe money to be processed so we can pay for my brother to be buried. On top of that, whatever money is left over, we're not going to get all of that money right away. I don't know what people think, right? I'm going to need a lot of money to move. I'm going to need a lot of money to have my storage moved. I'm going to need money for last month's rent, deposit, whatever it is that I need. Especially when it comes to application fees, background checks, all of that stuff. I'm going to need money for that. On top of that, I can't afford nothing. I can't even come online and be like, hey, do people want to send cash apps? The cash apps, the money that people sent to my PayPal went to pay my bills. Shocker. You know why? Because I still owe a storage. I still owe a phone bill. All of it is gone.
You'll hear Tophia talk a lot about how she needs money, but very little about how she is seeking employment, because in this time she had no intention of doing so, expecting that GoFundMe money to come in and fix all of her problems. But people had started refunding their money, losing faith in Toph's ability to properly spend it because of her being frequently spotted at shopping malls, spending money on luxury items like boba tea. Tophia didn't take very kindly to all of this criticism, and always had a million excuses for why she was there doing what she was, but this was only the beginning of her being spotted in these places, and it wasn't necessarily the hottest topic of discussion, because people were far more interested in what was happening with Brother Chu. After doing some digging, people on the internet figured out that Donald Jr. had already been cremated, that along with a small ceremony at the expense of the state. So many people were asking what the point of the GoFundMe even was anymore. Albuquerque had paid for him to be cremated, so why was Toph attempting to get thousands of dollars for the pretense of her brother's funeral? Well, her explanation received mixed responses.
Oh, and let's clear up what the state paid, because I'm so sick and tired of people saying the state already paid. No, the state did not already pay. So I'm going to explain that to you because it's literally pissing me off. So, let's get this out of the way. Cremated people can be buried. My grandmother and grandfather are buried, and they're cremated. So, for people saying that you can't bury cremated people, yes, you can. You can also have them entombed. I didn't want him entombed. I wanted him buried, with his urn. Because if we have his urn, it runs a risk or a chance of people trying to steal him. So yes, he can be buried. He will have a plot. He will have everything. So the state only paid up to $6,000 because they paid for the service. They paid for the casket. They paid for the urn. and they
Airbrain earned
they
an
pay
iron
for the cremation.
earn.
I already said that. That's up to 6,000. So everything went up to 6,000, and what was left over went to cremate him. So after the 6,000, we have no money for him to be buried.
Tofia claims that the money from the GoFundMe will be spent to bury Brother Chu's ashes. Tofia would also reveal in these videos that her family was mad that she continued posting to social media. This would be the very beginning of a long-running feud with her uncle, one that ends up getting very messy for Tofia, but we'll get to that shortly. During the month of April, Toph did post more than the month before. My theory is that as the months went on and Toph ran out of money, she had to stream more and had to make more content, further showing her desire to not work. The month of May would start off because Tofia was spotted multiple times in public with more Ross bags. This is a semi-popular clothing store in the US, one that Toph has been seen visiting numerous times. This would also be the beginning of Tofia's first trapping era, increasingly making videos like the one on screen right now. During this time, Tofia would also say that she's been hustling, doing everything that she can to secure her and her mama housing. She also speculated that the carjacker might have been a hitman sent by the internet, claiming that the case was still ongoing. She would also talk about how she was owed the GoFundMe money and that she could use it for damn near anything she pleased. The description clearly states that it's not only for her brother's funeral, but also their living expenses. And trust me, you haven't seen anything yet when it comes to reckless purchases from Toph. But I want to take a minute to cover someone who we also haven't in quite some time, and that's Papa Chu. Because around the middle of May, body cam footage would be released of Papa Chu finding out what had happened to his son, and some of his responses show just how far gone he is.
What did you bring on my dad's son? What? My son, what? I'll bring him back.
Papa Chu has quite literally developed a god complex, referring to himself as Ezekiel Mordecai Fusario, claiming to have godly powers, which he usually uses to threaten the police officers. I've also seen Papa Chu with necklaces made out of random car parts. I think this one on screen is a piece of a brake, so I doubt that he fully grasps what's gone on. He even said in that video that if something happened to his son, he'll just bring him back. It's pretty sad stuff. He has basically been abandoned by Tofia and Mama Chu, living on the streets, being arrested once every couple months. You'll even see him get arrested later in this video. But Tofia had far bigger problems to focus on. She was living out of a shelter, and rumors were beginning to swirl that it was a 90-day situation. Tofia had 90 days at the shelter to find gainful employment and move out. But she had intentions of doing neither, pretty much banking on the GoFundMe coming through. Instead of deciding to apply for jobs, Tofia decided to dye her hair and get her nails done. Tofia decided to dye parts of her hair blonde, and she's been rocking this look ever since. That, along with these two dangly locks, have created a pretty iconic hairstyle. And with this hairstyle came a whole new wave of attitude, taking out a lot of her frustrations on content creators that covered her antics, especially my good friend Smokey MCC. I don't know why, but just recently she's been talking about him a lot.
Anyways, Smokey is stupid as fuck. I'm gonna say that. If you want to believe whatever comes out of that bastard's mouth, I really don't give a fuck. I'm gonna say it. I don't give a fuck about people that don't even have hardcore receipts. If you can show hardcore receipts that I took money out of GoFundMe without showing a video of me just going shopping, then shut the fuck up. Because a video of me going shopping does not say that I took money from GoFundMe. Like, duh. You know how much people sent money to my freaking PayPal and my Cash App?
A little bit of a shame this morning. Me and Smokey have a podcast that we do right here every Wednesday at 6:30 Eastern Standard Time, and we talk about Toph's antics a lot, along with many other people that I've covered on this channel. If you want weekly updates on Toph, it's a great place to be. But we still have so much more to discuss when it comes to that
that was us. Yeah, for my brother, the burial was $4,120. On top of like $6,000 because that's for the, I don't know, it includes everything she said, including the headstone where we're having him buried. So yeah. Yeah, but we're still waiting for the GoFundMe to be processed because people said I was scamming. My family gave me money after my brother's service and I went and got stuff. And I guess someone filmed me and said I was using the GoFundMe money. I don't have access to it, my brother's friend does. And so GoFundMe is, I don't know if they're looking into it, they're still looking into it.
How the fuck do they hit first?
But it's not being processed. My brother's friend is contacting them. Well, that's what she told me is that to make a GoFundMe, she was hired from the mayor. She was hired by the.
It's interesting to see how Tofia reacts differently to criticism in real life. Online, she makes a lot of threats and false statements, but when it's in person, she's just giving all these excuses. The revelation of Brother Chu's funeral plans were very controversial, but eclipsed by something far bigger that was happening, and that is the aforementioned uncle. Before Tofia talks about her uncle in an extremely negative way, I want to describe to you exactly what the uncle offered. It would be revealed that he had offered for Tofia and Marie to come and stay with him, solving the housing problem that Tofia Chu had been talking about for years. And the uncle only had one condition, that Tofia stay off of social media. Of course, she refused, and each party began to shit with each other on social media. The uncle called her a liar and a thief, but Tofia didn't have anything better to say about him.
You left me and my family homeless when I was in elementary school trying to tell me that, I was not old. How many times did you throw me out of grandma's house over months and try to make excuses about my father? That's BS. You know you took money from her bank account and his son was driving by there and pulled up and literally told me because he was talking to me because, you know,
I can't even watch any WWE, but let's see what they
Every
have to
now and
say.
then, the internet coughs up a story that is.
Because apparently this the Nazi VTuber that was like Nazi Miku or some shit like that, They were apparently a transgendered woman. And also a Jewish transgendered woman. People got mad at them. Let's see if there's anything deeper than that. They're also mad because she was part of like a VTuber called like Retarded, which is kind of based. But, just filled with extremely terrible people. I should take the mantle up because they'll just be like for actual like people that don't give a fuck. I'll make it from the alt-right to straight based left, which is my my new thing. I am part of the based left. Because you are free to say whatever the fuck you want, so long as it doesn't offend other people. Well, you can say whatever you want about yourself, you just can't say it about, like, you can't call people, like, the N-word as an insult. You can call yourself retarded. Because that's just a word, I don't give a fuck. It's higher than stupid, but people don't like it because, oh, it was meant to offend, people with mental disability. No, it wasn't. It was to call them slow. Because retard in French is slow. That's why we say en retard. So unless you're gonna change the entire like language of French, shut the fuck up. Get learnt, idiot. Yeah. That's my only qualms with like the super lefty people. You can't say like offensive words because they hurt people. Like, shut the fuck up. If you're getting offended, if you're gonna rope over a word, you should just do it, dude. If you're that sensitive, life is not for you, child. In Minecraft, don't actually do it. Just learn to be less sensitive. Be based. Just chill.
So bizarre, it makes you question your reality.
Let's see. Oh wait, shit. Oh no, I am joined. Oh, loot on there? So that's the caption. No caption. That's the caption. Okay. Want some dick? Alright. Just keep on this thing. There we go. Where's my mouth? Play with delay because this thing's being retarded. It's not showing.
It makes you question how you got here, watching a video about it in the first place. And it might even leave you questioning humanity. For the next several minutes, you'll be hearing one of those stories. So grab a seat, get comfortable, and come with me as I tell you the story of a VTuber whose public persona and aesthetic drew from Nazi imagery. And how that persona crumbled into ashes after they were exposed, doxed, and then turned
fucking base
on by their own fans. Now, before we start, I want to clarify.
I think that's the funniest thing. She tried to like get good with the damn Nazis and then they turned on her. That's always what happens. You have to like the alt-right and the off-left are the same because you have to be like completely like ideologically with them or else they're just gonna turn on you like rabid dogs. That's why I'm politically left, but I just don't really care about like politics hardcore. So long as you're not a white nationalist, you're alright in my book. Because in order to be a white nationalist, you have to think that every other race is inferior, which is retarded. There's things that we're all good at. Like, if anything, white people are probably just like the middest of characters. They're like basic stats are one around the block. It's like I think Mexicans have a high con save because we can drink a lot, theoretically. There's other builds of us, but yeah, roughly around the same. Whites are kind of balanced just with the mobility feat.
By definition, and tell you where I got the bulk of this information from. Firstly, the word I want to define is VTuber, because there might be a few people watching this that don't know what a VTuber is. Simply put, a VTuber is a content creator that uses motion caption software to make themselves look like an anime character. As for citing my source, the bulk of the information that I have for this video all comes from a Kiwi Farms thread. With that said, I hope you're all ready. Let me open up this Pandora's box and show you what's inside.
Nice, she's honest. Yeah, I got my shit from.
This story well and truly begins in July 2025, when it was announced on Twitter that a hot new VTuber group had assembled. A VTuber group whose name I'm going to have to apologize for in advance. But for me to tell this story properly,
my God, shut the
I'm
fuck
going to
up,
have
dude.
to name them. This group was called the VTards. The VTards were comprised of 5 founding members: Akemi Kurai, Shio.
And then they started infighting because the Nazi, okay, yeah, whatever. But so Nazi, great. Strength, what increases stamina? Vitality. Alright. Yeah, they started off as 5 and then they dropped down to 4 because of infighting, because Nazi didn't like lollies, and then the people that liked lollies didn't like that she was a Nazi, and so they just kind of fought off of that, which kind of funny. Hopefully he goes over it, because I think that was a pretty funny squabble. You fucking run in this game. Oh. I know that there's a baton somewhere. Shut up, bitch. I'm schmoving. Oh, homie. Felicia. And there's something over here too. There's some I need my fentanyl slime. Alright. What is that? Oh, damn, you're chasing me all the way over here. Yeah, bitch. I'm done. Let's see, you want some dick? Let's get it. Let's fuck. I need for it. What do I need for it? Oh, I just think that's double-handed, dual-wield it. Okay. is the requirement for this? I need 15. 15. This I need 20. Oh no, I need 15 dexterity. Oh, that's right. Increase dex. Let's do it. Alright, let's see the VTards now.
Oan, Kitsura Nines, Wendigogo, and last but certainly not least, Nichisu Miku, described in her Twitter bio as your adorable redhead angel with a heart overflowing with love, VTuber, Kitchen Fura. Now, hearing Kitchen Fura might be sending off alarm bells in your head, but trust me, it gets worse. If we have any ultra weebs in the audience, they might be a little bit ahead of the curve, because anyone that speaks Japanese fluently might know that Nichisu translates in English to Nazi. On a real note, guys, for this video to be monetized would be an absolute miracle. I put the chances at slim to none. I've already accepted that I'm basically going to work this week for free. So I'd just like to say this once, and I'd like to get it out of the way now. If at any point you find yourself enjoying this video, please make sure to give it a like and subscribe to the channel. I'd also really recommend you to check out my other content if you enjoy this. That's the only way I'm going to get paid for this video, in all likelihood. With that said, you now know the first of many different twists in the tale that this story will have, that we're discussing a fascist VTuber. So I think that right now would be the best time for me to give you some information about Nichisu Miku so you can really understand who she was and what she stood for before we delve into what happened to her. So as you might be able to expect, this VTuber was said to hold various alt-right beliefs. She said that she agreed with Nazis on basically everything except for killing people. Nichisu Miku would commonly say slurs on Twitter and on stream, specifically the N-word, but also basically any other slur that you can imagine. Nichisu Miku was also known to be an
I hate to defend a Nazi because she actually believes it, but if you just say the N-word just like out of habit, then I don't really see that's bad. But as soon as you say it as a fucking insult, then it's a problem. 'Cause I'll be honest, if you've been on the stream around, my post could be edgy as fuck. And you know what? I'll admit it, I say it in private too sometimes. Because we just grew up in a different era where it was, we're still kind of frowned upon, but just kept doing it. It just became habit. But just because you say slurs doesn't mean you really like feel the hate of the word, you know? I think there's something over here if I remember. You're not saying with vitriol, you're saying it with baseness, you know? You're saying it to be edgy, which I think as long as you don't mean any vitriol with it, it should be fine. Will I say it on stream? Probably not. Have I said any slur on stream? Yeah, I said the F slur once. I think I used like the C word a couple of times. Especially when I'm doing an Australian accent because it's like the catchphrase over there. Yeah. I don't think just outright saying slurs is bad. I just think that saying slurs in the attempt to hurt people, then it's bad. Because they were initially made to put down people, but if you use it like an adjective, like my N-word, I think that's fine. But could be wrong. I don't know. I haven't seen any. Now I got more clothes on.
Nick Fuentes fan. And I'm going to be very careful in what I say here because I'm really not clued up in the Nick Fuentes lore. I know that his fans are very passionate and I don't really want to say anything that might be a bit ill-informed about him. I will say though that she used to have this acronym on her Twitter bio, RKD for NJF, which apparently stands for Rape, Kill, Die for Nick J. Fuentes. And she would frequently praise the name of Mr. Fuentes on Twitter and on her streams.
That's funny. That's base.
What's funny is that she's actually fucking gay. I think that's the funniest part. Which is crazy because there's always an ongoing joke that Groypers are actually like homosexual for Nick Fuentes, and I think they might be filling that case right there. Which is kind of hilarious. Because there's like a screenshot or something about Nick Fuentes going to like what was it, like a cross-dressing event or something, or like a trans event, and like getting like piped down or something, and then going into like trans OnlyFans creators and like buying their stuff or trying to get involved with them. So Nick might be a homosexual, who knows. I don't. Looks kind of gay, goes off in the gaydar, but hey, it could be surprising. Fuck, I can't do the glitch.
That's what I like about Nick Fuentes is he calls his super chatters retards when they're retards.
Oh shit! What the fuck?
And I think that is like a trope or something, which is like chat is retarded.
So very clearly, she is a controversial personality.
That's supposed to fucking happen? I've only ever seen that fucking red dragon in the bridge. I've never seen him attack this bitch. What the hell? What the hell? I'll ask Alvarado when he gets on. But I've never seen that shit before. Ow, bitch. Ow, you bitch. Oh, fuck you in the ass. Over, give me that ass, bro. Give me that ass.
For outsiders. But then something very interesting began happening. Eyebrows from within her own community started being raised. And one of the main reasons why that I could find was an interview with a YouTuber called Godfarts. He's a small creator with roughly 400 subscribers. This was a defining moment in the shortly lived career of Michizu Miku. Take a close listen to this interaction.
Fast Front asks, have you read My Struggle? You know about or any other NS?
I have not. No, I haven't read that.
You haven't read My Struggle?
I should.
And then you're like this. You're like the biggest like the most far right extremist Miku, and you haven't read it.
Shit, even I read it out of curiosity and asked, what the fuck? And I'm a fucking leftist. What kind of bullshit is that? And no, I didn't go into Nazi period. I just want to see what the big hype below about and I got political power because I did want to become a political person in the beginning of my life. But then I realized, And it ain't enough to crack out in me.
Then you are trade for some.
That, and as you can tell, like, I can barely fucking speak English. Yeah, that's right. You need to repair your weapons for. To buy reinforced clothes.
Thank you kindly.
I like that guy. I know I won't kill him, but get his stuff. That's bad. That's bad. We are good humans. Oh shit, I'm slow rolling already? Fuck. Increase my my stats. Stamina, quick blow. Wait, I shouldn't be slow rolling. What the fuck? Want some dick? Ah. Oh. Alright, there's more down. It's a minimum like we're nice level. Okay, let's keep that. Oh, this is how we do it. No, I'm dead. Okay.
Should have seen excerpts from it, but no, I've never read the whole thing.
Jeez, okay.
What Godfast was asking here was whether or not Nachisa Miku had read Mein Kampf, the book written by Adolf Hitler when he was in prison in the early 1920s. That book is translated in English to My Struggle. If you're not aware, this book is the most famous piece of Nazi literature ever published, and it's the one resource that gave us the clearest—
I honestly don't see any reasons why. It's just him bitching about, oh, Germany's so bad, I wouldn't worry.
Insight into Hitler's mind. So for Nachisa Miku not to have read it, for her to appear as though she might not have even known what it was, something didn't add up. People became even more suspicious when they found out that Nachisu was using a voice modifier, something that she was, in fairness, quite transparent in making public.
No, hey, but why the voice changer? Why do you think, man? I've said this a few times, like, and it's not a voice changer, it's a voice modifier. So it doesn't sound that different from my voice, but do you know how many death threats I'm getting right now? Like, people want to straight up kill me.
Bitch.
Like, that's why.
I haven't used my role voice, but if you know me online, you know you don't.
But
if you know me
yes,
in real
I do
life,
use
no
a
you
voice
don't.
changer, and it's to protect myself.
Bitch.
Now, any content creator that chooses to use a voice modifier is only naturally going to have questions over why they choose to use it. And to be fair to her, in Nachisa Miku's case, I feel like the answer is quite obvious, that she doesn't want anyone to know her real identity. But this increased curiosity in the real story behind Nachisa Miku
Hell
led
yeah.
online sleuths
I remembered
to
how
snoop
to-
around. And a simple Minecraft username lit a spark that then grew into a blazing inferno. To make sure this next part
There's
is
something
accurate,
over here,
I'm going
wasn't
to read directly from the Kiwi Farms thread. Nichisu decided to reuse an old Minecraft account for her new VTuber persona, the same account that she has been using for over a decade. Searching for past nicknames on the account reveals that Nichisu previously went by the alias Exterior K. And by googling this username, people discovered an utterly shocking revelation. They discovered something that would send shockwaves right through the heart of the SS VTuber world. They discovered that Nachisa Miku was actually a man. This was the person behind the mask, a man known as Kenneth. And I'm going to use his name here because it's already out of the bag. Kenneth's identity was revealed, and thus began an intense investigation.
Yo, they look like a fatter version of what's the name of the song? Vitas, there we go. I might be tripping dick, but I do like this song. Hey, you guys see it a little bit? A bit, just with more facial hair? Am I being racist? No, yeah, just like a little fatter version. I can see it. You gotta give me that. Where's the picture? You see, it has this full bone thing.
Lit art is Minecraft certification. Whoa. This was the.
I see it a little. You guys see it. You guys see it. You guys see it. Just a little fatter version with more hair. I see it. I fucking see it. I'm saying it. I'm calling it. This song bangs though. Seventh Element by Vitas. Banger. Absolute fucking banger. Unironic banger. Listen to it. I'll just play a little bit more because I don't want to get copyrighted. It's a good fucking song, dude. Oh shit. Oh shoot. I'm fine. Fuck. Alright, let me just get ahead of the best part. Stop. So fucking banger. I love his voice too. Fuck! Fuck off! Pieces of shit. Damn. I'm trying to listen to fucking Seventh Element. You cocksuckers. Right,
person behind the mask, a man known as Kenneth. And I'm going to use his name here because it's already out of the bag. Kenneth's identity was revealed, and thus began an intense investigation into the man behind Nachisa Miku. An investigation that revealed many utterly shocking details about one of the internet's most quickly downfallen creators. An investigation that I'm going to share with you now.
Did I fucking die? What happened to all my fucking...
With his name and username out there, people were very quick to Google the living shit out of him.
What did they find?
Everything. They discovered that he lived quite an interesting life. Amongst being a male, Kenneth was a software engineer, a DJ, and a Minecraft fan. In fact, more than a decade ago, he had made a Minecraft Let's Play YouTube channel with one of his friends. This channel might have been lost to the archives of YouTube if not for this recent discovery. Many people thought it was interesting that this was the man that was responsible for Nachisa Miku, the quote-unquote mastermind behind it all. Of course, then his SoundCloud was leaked, as well as websites that he had worked on. I haven't been able to recover his websites. I think he's taken them down, and his SoundCloud has been wiped. According to the Kiwi Farms post, he used his SoundCloud account to make AI songs about Nick Fuentes. That said, according to the post, he doesn't actually like Nick Fuentes. Last year, he publicly stated that he wasn't a groiper. Long story short, that is a fan of Nick Fuentes. As I said, I'm not really going to get into the Nick Fuentes aspect because
Chill. All right, that means that at breaking news, we've just received word of the album dropping. We're getting it live over here. Give me a second. Let me just make sure that it's right. And I hear that this is his song. Let's give it a listen to.
I hate blacks. I hate spics. I hate Jews. I hate Chinks. I hate Arabs. I hate Mongoloids. I hate lesbians. Donald Trump. Donald Trump. Donald Trump. I'm voting for Donald Trump. Donald Trump. Donald Trump. Donald Trump. Whatever Donald Trump.
All right, so far we get the little racist aspect of it. You know, it's really offensive, but the creative choice of pairing that with Donald Trump is insane. But let's keep listening. Let's see the juxtaposition.
You're looking kind of sexy, Donnie.
Okay.
You make me kind of hard, Donnie.
All right.
Donald is the best. I want to suck his dick. I love his red face and I love his juicy tits. Wanna cuddle up on the couch with you, Donald Trump? Maybe watch a couple movies or some Hulu. I wanna text you every day and night, Mr. Donald Trump. Maybe send a couple nudies. Hey, what you doing? I want.
All right, you see there, that's the average MAGA voter right now. This is their national anthem, and if they try to say otherwise, then tell them where the fuck are the Epstein files. Where the fuck is the ended the wars in day one, or where the fuck happened to the ceasefires? You know, just whatever he promised, and if they say that that it was just hyperbolic, just remind them that hey, you're supposed to end that war. And if they tell you that it was just like hyperbolic ball talk, then it's all so that's what they're doing. They're choking on Donald Trump's dick.
Wanna lick you down at the toe, but I promise I won't touch the hole unless you want me. I saw you for the first time on the TV. I thought maybe me and you would get kind of freaky. Yeah, hit that G-spot, stick your pinky up my asshole. And if you like it, maybe you could try it too. If one finger ain't enough, we can go for two.
This is every time Trump lies. They're like, you know what? As long as you're digging in my booty, twin, I'm fine. You can lie to me all you want. And ironically, Trump sycophants are just like abused women. Like they know that the partner's not good for them, but they still fucking go back to them. They're that one homie that's like, no, she changed. It was just one time. Oh shit, it just fell off. It's fucking dead. Like she changed, dog. You don't know her like I do, like bro. She was choking on my meat. I'm sorry. Nah, no, she wasn't. You take that back, like bro. Come on, she's for the streets, dog. No, she's not. She's the best thing that ever happened to me. No, she's not. She's like the worst thing that happened to you, dude. You used to be cool. I don't know what the fuck happened. I'm dead. Fuck.
Gotta drill my ass with a strap on.
Jay, I'm about to go to
Without using my hands on. I love you, Bonnie. You make me cry. Come in my mouth. Come in my eyes. Come in my ass. Come on the tip. Come on my see that ass, darling. I just wanna feel your pulse with my pinky in your asshole. You can be my pinky ring from the dollar store. Donna, I know you want me. I know we're perfect for each other. I know you're alone and you need somebody who understands you, and I understand you, Donna. You also need someone who knows how to hit that G-spot. That wife ain't doing shit.
Yep, that sums up the typical MAGA voter right now.
I'm less than qualified to talk about it. What I did find interesting...
He could literally release a sex tape with like a 5-year-old and then be like, damn, should have been me. Fuck. And then just move on with their days.
Though, was the next discovery made, and that discovery was a warrant for Kenneth's arrest. As it turns out, he had participated in January 6th, and he was caught in several images participating in the Capitol's invasion. In fact, this is apparently an image of him next to the QAnon shaman. Furthermore, he made several posts to Facebook documenting the event. Kenneth took a plea deal and pled guilty to parading, demonstrating, or picketing in a Capitol building. He was sentenced to 18 months of probation and was ordered to pay restitution of $500. He was eventually pardoned for the activity in January 20...
That is fucking insane. Bro actually got fucking arrested for Jan 6. Holy hell. Or, I think they're trans. I think it's cis? I don't fucking know. Should I have even written... Yeah, I should say it. What the fuck? You're not dead?
So Kenneth's entire life was now public information on the internet. It was time for him to try and scramble and make some moves to survive this onslaught. But as you will soon see, this might have made things even worse. First things first, Kenneth tried to pull the oldest trick in the book. If you're like me, when you were a teenager, you might have asked a girl out over text and then got rejected. So what you would do is say...
Yeah, just say like, oh, what the fuck? Nah, that's not a little brother, the fuck? Hell no. I don't even like you like that, stupid bitch. Oh, you were just kidding? Oh, shit. Oh, you're just playing. I'm just playing too. What's up? What's up, girl? Shit, what's up, baby girl? I'm just playing, dog. Come on. Can't take a joke no more? What's up? Where my hug at? That dude was definitely where's my hug at kind of guy. Yeah.
Oh, it wasn't me. My brother took my phone and hoped that they buy it. No, it wasn't my finest moment, and neither was it Kenneth's, because he initially tried to keep up the ruse to still be seen as female, and say that Kenneth was actually his brother that let Nichisu Miku use his Minecraft account, so the person who's actually being doxxed was Nichisu Miku's brother. However, Kiwi Farms decided to do a bit more digging and discovered that Kenneth had no sisters, only brothers, so he had been caught in yet another lie. And then one more revelation was made that would turn this entire situation up on its head. An allegation was put onto Kiwi Farms that accused Kenneth's late grandfather of being Jewish. So the allegation is right now that a male who was there on January 6th decided to go online and use a voice changer to pose as a female Nazi VTuber. That has to be the first time that sentence has ever been uttered on this earth. And God, I hope it's the last. Back on topic, Nichisu Miku would eventually come clean on his Discord, revealing that he had lied about his gender and that he was sorry. He then went on Twitter and relayed the same information, calling himself an actor. Obviously, there's a degree of separation between VTubers who are technically characters.
He actually pulled the I was only pretending to be retarded card. Holy shit. Fucking based. God, I can't wear any fucking outfits or anything. Holy shit. Can't wear any body armor.
He also tried to make the point that women voice men all the time. Quite notoriously, all of the kids on The Simpsons are voiced by women, as are characters such as Ash Ketchum and Timmy Turner, and everyone's favourite bold 5-year-old, Caillou. Of course, as all of this was happening...
I say, what the fuck? He's doing it for gender equality. If women get to masquerade as men, I get to masquerade as a woman. Fucking, oh shit. Fucking base.
Extra rumors were being made. Some people were saying that the man behind Nechisa Miku was gay or transgender. Obviously, the Jewish allegations were still active. Kenneth, though, denied all of these. However, he would come out on stream and reveal his real voice.
This is my real voice.
So now I'm using my real voice. This is me, the man behind Nechisa Miku.
The downfall was well and truly happening. As of the time I wrote this video, the Kiwi Farms thread on it was, I believe, about 80 pages long. And through that thread, I learned that the VTards are no more. Kitsura Nines has now vanished from the internet. Shit Owen left the group less than a week after it was informed. And as for Nechisa Miku, as you might be able to guess, he is a dead VTuber walking. Nechisa Miku's Twitter was taken down the first time I looked it up, and it seemed as though his Rumble was also inactive. He eventually made a return to Twitter, clarifying that Nechisa Miku was a character, and the views expressed by her weren't necessarily shared by the male voice actor that was behind her. She would also state that she...
I'm trying to pull a filthy break. Damn, fucking based. Holy shit. He's gone through all the classics. This bitch is fucking annoying as fuck. He's gone through all the fucking classics. I was only pretending to be retarded. It's a character. He should have just gone with I'm a trans, and then they'd be like, you know what? Alright. It's fine. You got one. You'll be our token. Like Milo Melonopolis was the token gay until he became too crazy and they just abandoned him.
Looking to reboot, and that people can trust her now because there's literally nothing left to hide. Many people were quite quick to be anti-Semitic and to call Nechisu a liar. So that leads us to today. Nechisu has been exposed as a potentially Jewish man, and I don't think I need to tell you why that might be a problem for former fans of Nechisu's. The question is, will she be able to make a comeback? Right now, based on the replies that Nechisu has been receiving,
what were you canceled? Allegedly Jewish.
So this is where our video takes yet another turn. Upon seeing that Nechisu's Twitter was back online and that Kenneth was tweeting again,
I can't wear
I knew
shit.
that I could
Holy
get a new
fuck.
dimension to this if I could get Kenneth to speak to me in a video call. For the majority of the remainder of this video, I've included the highlights of our discussion. I want to clarify right now that allowing Kenneth to speak on this channel does not mean that I endorse his views. I do not whatsoever. This interview is being included for the sake of journalism and with the intention of getting the full story from the only first-hand source. These were the highlights of the
Okay, for some
So
Tiger
I've been
Chunk.
joined today by Nechisu Miku, the very controversial SS VTuber. Am I saying that right? Is that, would you describe yourself as that?
Yeah, that's accurate, yeah.
Okay,
They're still using the voice?
Give me a quick rundown of everything that happened, how it started, where the conflict lay, and where you are right now.
Yeah, it basically started as I just wanted like an alternate account to kind of, you know, post and stuff and just have fun with. I had the idea of using an anime profile picture just to be anonymous, and you know, eventually I started generating AI images of the character and started thinking about, you know, if it was something that could like develop into like an actual character story type thing, you know, maybe kind of like a comic book or something. I don't know, I always kind of viewed it as like I was writing a book, creating a character, kind of in real time.
Behind the scenes, do you wish to discuss your political allegiances? Are you a Nazi behind the screen?
I don't know if we nowadays know exactly what a Nazi is. You know, the Nazi party doesn't really exist anymore, so would I say like I'm technically a like true Nazi? Not quite. I mean, I would say I hold right-leaning opinions that are maybe towards the far right, towards the National Socialist ideologies.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure the white nationalists are just pretty much Nazis. Because they believe in the one race ideology, that as long as we become one gentrified race, that we should be good. We should bring back America to its quote former glory and shit. That's my understanding of what being a white nationalist is. My arguments with them online. But they pretty much are Nazis. That's pretty much Nazi ideation. No shit. I just moved. Oh, yeah. I guess. Actually,
What do you think? Because obviously you were saying that you might change the character up. In your opinion, what's outside of your gender? What is the biggest difference between yourself and Miku?
It really is mostly the gender thing.
So there are similarities.
I think
there are crossovers.
Politically it's virtually the same. I mean, the person I was before is essentially the same person. There really is not much difference. And that's where I think I understand when people say, oh, the lines are blurred, and they totally are. I mean, between me and the character.
What was the intention behind making your VTuber avatar female and using a voice modifier? Why did you do that?
Yeah, like I said, it started with just creating this character. I didn't quite have the intention of going into VTubing, so it just kind of kept going to that natural conclusion, more or less. You know, I had tried stuff with a male VTuber model, and it just didn't quite feel the same. Like, I thought Nachisu Miku was a little more fun. You know, I did conceal the fact that I was male for a while, and, you know, I do kind of regret not telling. I mean, I do definitely regret not telling people up front about that. That's something I learned, you know, as I've been doing this, is I should have told people about who was actually behind the character, because that's also how I think, going into like how people view YouTubers differently, is that I view it more as like a character, something separate from myself, like something that I can, you know, play and act on. I'm not transgender, you know, this Miku isn't supposed to be like my exact persona in a cartoon form. I kind of have the understanding that, you know, this is a cartoon, this isn't real. That's kind of how I thought of it, was it just felt like a fun medium.
Well, let's go use a fucking voice changer, dude. Fuck. Like, you're kind of hoping that this blows over. If I see your hero Donald Trump fucking doing the same thing, like, what the fuck you mean I'm a man? What? Where? You know who is a man? Fucking Biden, dude. Yeah, that's what you should be focusing on. Fucking Biden, bro. Yeah, fuck Biden. Yeah, am I right? Yeah. Oh, yeah. What were we talking about?
To do something interesting, and create like a character, almost like a comic book or like a story.
Of the information that was leaked, how much of it was correct and how much of it was incorrect? Because you have come out to say that there are inaccuracies in some of the allegations. Obviously, the rumor mill's been spinning, but how much of it was spot on and how much of it was false information?
The biggest piece of false information was they tried to connect my late father to one of the companies I think he was a part of or something, but they connected it to this other guy named Bob Schultz, who I don't know who that guy is, and that's where they brought up this rumor that I'm Jewish and all this stuff. You know, I mean, that's a common attack people use against online people, is you're Jewish. I really don't care that much, except for the fact that it's just not true. You know, mostly everything they found was pretty correct. I mean, I am Kenneth Schultz. I used to do my own like personal account, which was Kenneth Stark. And people were asking why I use Stark.
Holy shit, I'm so fucking good at parrying.
Semi-anonymous. You know, I use my real face and stuff all the time, so it was just, again,
I didn't get
just
a
like a
sword.
character.
Fucking rip.
I used to do like a Stark report news stream that I would actually use my face and kind of talk about the news, sort of similar
does
to
that do?
Nick Fuentes. Yeah, the biggest piece was that they try to connect me to somebody
What's the
who
fence
they claim
line?
is Jewish.
My
to try
HP's
to
always
make
low.
it-
Hell yeah, let's
to
get
try
it.
to build up this thing like I'm this Jewish psyop that's run by Mossad or something like that to trick people, which is just not true. I mean, I am German, French, and Italian. I've shown my DNA. The unfortunate thing is that it doesn't necessarily quite matter anymore because the
I showed my DNA, guys. Come on now. You can let it go, please. Please, fuck. Come on, guys. Fuck, dude. Let it go, dog. I showed my I showed me my DNA. Please forgive. Got booty tickled. Damn, wants me. I showed you my DNAs. Please sub. I'm a part of the cause.
rumor's already out there.
And another question I had is obviously now that you've been doxxed, your entire life. I mean, I know quite a few things about you just by doing the research. Was the SoundCloud, the Nick Fuentes AI stuff, Minecraft stuff, the January 6th stuff as well. Have you been seeing any real life consequences to your actions? Because your name is out there now. Like, have you been suffering from any? Anything like that happening to
I
you?
just realized I haven't even been in a damn demon.
No, not yet. I say yet because, who knows what could happen, but not really. I mean, my docs went out there, I think, a little bit more harder with more serious people when I was involved in the January 6th stuff, like I said. Before is that,
Before I do
my face was out there, the FBI was looking for me.
Kill these
It's not
bastards.
like I was hiding, it took them a while to get through all the cases and stuff to find people eventually. And when they did find me, I turned myself in essentially. My docs was out there on a personal level, and I didn't really have any repercussions in my normal life from that, even though I think there were way more serious people that were like they actually wanted to possibly attack me or something like that for being in January 6th. A lot more radical leftists, people who do like real activism and stuff like that were after me. And I was on Joe Rogan, not directly Joe Rogan clip. I was, my face was on the news, Channel 9 News or whatever, but, so I had kind of experienced the whole doxing thing before, and really nothing happened apart from that, so I don't quite think something will happen. This, I think it would be very strange for somebody to get that upset about an anime cartoon character or something to go and do something in the real world.
I guess that leads me on to another question I have, which is basically, so you're kind of at the position right now where obviously everyone
Hell yeah. Lucky bitch.
the right haters. I've been looking in the comments
Suck my nut.
recent posts and stuff, and everyone's saying the jig is up, call it a day, move on, take it up next. Do you think that there is a possibility that
I fucking hate this game. We should be able to fucking attack Wayne. This game, dude.
have a
This
resurgence? Do
game.
you think you can rally or come back from this, or do you think rally is maybe a bit of the wrong word to say, but do you think that there's a possibility that you can come back from this?
Falling in September, but yeah. Oh, the holiday.
I think the character might be a little different going forward. It might be more obviously
What the fuck?
catfish or portrayed by it.
That is bullshit. They never fucking
And
jump.
stuff like that.
Now
Which I
that's all my
totally
fucking
understand,
souls.
But many of them have made it clear is that they didn't care that I was a man. They were more upset that I lied. which I totally understand. And some of those people may come back around eventually. But you know, now that it's all out there, I'm just gonna be truthful and honest about everything. There's really nothing left to lie about, so, you know, yeah.
We wrapped up the interview shortly after this, and throughout the following few days, I continued to work on this video. It almost sounds satirical, but this is very much real. And now you know what happens when an SS YouTuber has their mask slip. Now you know the story of Nachisa Miku. Only a week or two ago, as of me recording this, Ludwig, a highly successful content creator and streamer, held his third annual Mario Kart event, which is just as it sounds. He has a bunch of creators play Mario Kart while drunk. There's been a noticeable increase in alcohol-related content in live-streamed events over the past few years, and so at this point, a drunken Mario Kart event is just par for the course. On top of that, drinking adds a layer of unpredictability and chaos to a game that's already unpredictable and chaotic. Even if you're hands down the best Mario Kart player, there's no guaranteeing that when you're 5 Jaeger bombs deep, you'll be able to execute a tactful banana throw. However, there was an element of chaos that not even Ludwig himself could account for.
Right, that's kind of funny, kind of based. See if I can find another video. You must be loco to mess with us, don't you know we're dangerous? We kill you. Kill you.
Dylan Zippy, also known as The Chin or DZ, is a 21-year-old TikTok content creator. Dylan would rise to infamy in the early 2020s after a string of controversies involving minors. A string that seemed never-ending as accusation after accusation would flood in against The Chin. The worst part being that he got away with everything. Today we are going to cover the story of Dylan Zippy, what made him so popular on TikTok in the first place, the many allegations against Dylan Zippy, and what he has been up to today. Because contrary to popular belief, he has not disappeared from the internet. Buckle up, because this might be one of the worst people that I have covered on this channel.
This isn't even a hard boss fight, it's just a fucking jump attack or so fucking finicky.
And for that, I have Rocket Money. It's an app that centers around helping you save and manage your money. Rocket Money helps you cancel subscriptions, lower your bills. One of my favorite tools to use is their budget builder. It takes a lot of the guesswork out of it. I can say personally that just seeing everything laid out in front of my eyes makes me feel so much better. Another amazing thing is that help you lower your
Fuck, I'm with that couple wide.
And tapping the services, cable and phone bills to better control
bitch. Hooked on a feeling. I believe it. Ooh, I thought I missed. Now you're a single mom, bitch. Straight right down the tail. Like that shit. It's a rare item, isn't it?
A photograph, such as a selfie or video shared for the purpose of attracting attention or desire. I was pretty shocked to find this in the Real Dictionary and not the Urban Dictionary.
Give me a second with this shit. I'm pretty sure the Demon's Great Axe is a pretty rare drop. Demon's Great Axe. Drop rate. The Demon's Great Axe is comparatively more rare, but it's not very useful for a beginning player. It has supercharged stat requirement. Wait. No, it's amazing that game. Okay. Oh, cool. Yeah, it's pretty rare. Nice.
But I digress. Dylan was posting a lot of these thirst trap videos.
It's no
and they were
requirement for
really
it, though.
catching on. It's even where he got his nickname, the Chin. During his thirst trap videos, Dylan will stroke his chin and make a strange face at the camera. This is him trying to
48.
seem more attractive for the
running
camera,
a strength build,
and I think
laddies.
it is what made him so popular. He was there before the Rizzler. Let me show you a couple of my favorite TikToks that he made. They are very telling of what he would do in the future. Yo, DZ, you see the new girl yet? No. Where is she? Eye contact with the Rizzler chin grab. Then you seal the deal with a hello there. What are you doing? Me and my boyfriend broke up. I'm sorry. Decide to kiss her for the first time. You're going to be my first kiss. Some of his TikToks are pretty creepy when you add in the context of what Dylan's been accused of. The first kiss one in particular gets me. Something about that face sends chills down my spine.
Look,
As I
meet the
previously
boy.
stated, Dylan would garner most of his popularity
The
from
homie.
his thirst trap TikToks. And he was doing pretty well for himself, accumulating over 40,000 subscribers at one point. But this was not meant to be, as Dylan Zippy would commit some horrid things that would come to the light of day. A 14-year-old TikToker alleged that Dylan had
I will
sent
save
a
you.
number of inappropriate messages and photos to her on Snapchat. This TikToker had proof, including the photos of Dylan that had been sent. These photos did not include a full image of Dylan's face, but had numerous identifiable objects from around his room, such as the LED lights or his infamous white beanie. I would also like to add in that these messages were pretty graphic. They were not all just asking her how she was doing. There were a number of charged questions that a child should never be receiving from someone Dylan's age. Despite this near conclusive proof that Dylan was at the very least messaging this minor, he would deny everything, ignoring it for as long as he possibly could. But after he hit 40,000 subscribers, he realized that this controversy would never rest, and that he would have to address the situation if he was ever going to move forward on TikTok. So address the situation he did with one of his very few videos that doesn't include music. He would basically admit that the messages were real, but that he did not know this person's age and was just trying to be friendly.
Thank you guys again for 40k followers. It means a lot to me, but this is not why I'm here. I need to talk to you guys for a bit. This is my apology video. So for anyone out there, I just want to say I'm sorry. And
My poor Flash to get to the next bonfire because I felt like I was in bitch.
anyway, I just wanted to be a nice person and to sing for her. And I did not know that she was 14. She didn't tell me her age. So if it was wrong,
Now you're single,
I
mom.
just want to say I'm sorry.
Oh shit!
And hopefully you guys can appreciate it and accept my apology.
Bitch.
And
Yeah, that's fucking right.
Yeah.
Look at that thing. Gross.
hopefully you guys accept
Has herpes and everything.
You guys do. Thank you. And I just don't want to get hate anymore.
I love how he starts his controversial video by thanking the people for 40,000 subscribers. He can't even split them into two different videos. He's just gonna get it all out of the way at once. He also says that he wasn't trying to be weird or anything. He was just trying to be a
Holy
nice
fuck.
person. That is not at all what I'm getting from the messages that I've seen. Telling a child that you don't know if it's going to fit in is not just trying to be nice. It's not just you trying to sing to her, Dylan. And by you admitting that these messages are from you to this other person, you've basically just confirmed your guilt. He is merely banking on the fact of controlling the narrative, telling the people who were unaware that it was simply not a big deal, and he didn't know that she was 14. I have heard this defense many times before, the most infamous of which is Little QB, who was also alleged to have sent inappropriate messages to minors, though I gotta say he took being exposed a lot worse than Dylan did.
She was 18. I talked to her all my life for 3 months under that false idea that she was 18. I stopped talking to her. I literally thought she was going through a mental health crisis, so that's why I made other accounts to try to reach out. Then when she said she was serious, I never contacted her again. I've never been arrested. That's a fake news story. Fuck you all. Go to hell. I hope you all rot in hell. I hope you all rot in hell. I hope you all burn in hell.
It seems to be a common trend that when these people are caught, they try to downplay the situation, and in Dylan's case, they will still try to own up to it, but in a lesser way. The way that Dylan nonchalantly talks about all this, as if it is a forgivable thing, speaks volumes to his moral character. But he really expected this apology video to do the trick, that this would be the end of the situation and he could move forward posting more thirst traps. But behind the scenes, Dylan was also moving forward with some other things, in line with what we just talked about. The video isn't titled "The TikTok's Repeat Predator" for nothing, because he would find himself in yet another series of allegations. The apology video did nothing but inflict the Streisand effect onto the situation. The Streisand effect is an unintended consequence of
Yo, chill. Fuck, dude.
or censor information, where the efforts instead increase public awareness. This was coined when Barbra Streisand tried to sue a photographer for photos of her home. These photos were to document coastal erosion and weren't really mainstream until Barbara sued the photographer, causing the photo to become extremely popular.
Yo, chill.
Though to a much lesser extent, happened to Dylan after the apology video was posted. The people who didn't know about the situation were going to
Yo, chill, bro. Fuck.
People who knew saw this
That
as an
dipshit.
apology, not explaining
Fucking
all
get
the facts.
cheese,
So
idiot.
public sentiment for Dylan Zippy was
Get
at an
fucking
all-time
cheesed.
low, and more people were
Nerd.
comfortable to step forward with their allegations. Yet another TikTok would be posted of a 13-year-old girl exposing Dylan for once again exposing himself to her. This TikToker would accuse Dylan of sending a number of explicit messages and photographs to her and requesting some photographs from her. Once again, there were photographs that matched Dylan's room. More images of his lights, of the fixtures around his house, and of his clothing. Dylan's defense of saying he didn't know that the previous victim's age was 14 was shattered by this, because now a pattern had developed. Young girls around the age of 14 were being contacted by Dylan on Snapchat. It seemed possibly through a connection on TikTok, because every girl that had exposed Dylan so far was posting TikTok videos. My theory is that Dylan was finding these girls on TikTok, flaunting his status as a bigger influencer, and to try to use that power imbalance for nefarious purposes. This second expose was even worse for Dylan. He had directed everyone's attention to the situation with his first scandal, the second truly solidifying the hate for him on the platform, and this led to trolling. One of these trolls would pose as a 14-year-old girl on Instagram, and when this individual dropped the chat logs, it was pretty damning for
Rolling
Dylan.
and
The person
trolling.
posing as the 14-year-old made their age very clear, both in the bio of their Instagram and by stating it plainly to Dylan, who responded in a manner that seemed to be uncaring, continuing to flirt with her. At this point, Dylan had already been exposed publicly twice, but this was no deterrent. He continued to post his TikToks and continued to ignore the new accusations. After these new allegations hit, people began to take interest in Dylan's story, particularly YouTubers who were making many videos on the situation, with them providing continuous updates as Dylan was exposed time after time. But one piece of content I found about the situation gave a lot of context to everything. It was from a TikToker named Your Favorite Pal, who posted a video going over Dylan's many allegations and sharing some of his own experiences with Dylan in a group chat. Both Dylan Zippy and Your Favorite Guy were in a TikTok group chat among many other TikTokers, and what he had to say about Dylan's conduct
Run,
was
bitch,
shocking.
run.
This is Dylan Zippy asking a young girl to come over to his place. This is Dylan Zippy asking a young girl if it would.
Shit.
Despite being caught multiple times over the past 3
Probably.
years, Dylan Zippy continued with this
We're almost there.
behavior, which was going on way before he was 18. When he was 17, he
Probably.
was trying to 13 and 14-year-olds.
Dylan Zippy is 20 years old, and I knew him before he was 18. The reason I knew him was because there was a Snapchat group chat of a bunch of TikTokers, and we were both in it. And this was before all this stuff came out. What we were doing with this
I don't know what to get this.
when he was 17,
Right back.
he was multiple.
I need to check if anyone joined the party. Let's hold up. Let's keep watching this Predator.
Multiple 14-year-olds, multiple 13-year-olds. I told him to cut it out. Did he? Not at all. Us creators ended up contacting his parents about his behavior. They made him deactivate the account, but since then he's moved out. Unsurprisingly, 2 years later, he has once again been caught trying to and meet up with 14-year-olds. He entirely ignores the recent time he was caught trying to set a 14-year-old, and he knew the ages. Hell, I even catfished him at the time, telling him I was 14.
Dylan would also post another apology, saying that he couldn't believe this happened again, and once again that he just wanted to move past this. But it doesn't seem like he's capable. If all of these allegations are true, Dylan has been targeting a certain age group for years now. What Your Favorite Guy talked about just there was Dylan trying to solicit minors well before he was exposed on TikTok, targeting people around this age even before he was 18. That makes 4 or 5 solid allegations against Dylan Zippy, all within the span of 3 years. And the allegations weren't even done yet. They were somehow going to get even darker. Just months after all of this happened, Dylan would once again be accused of sending inappropriate messages to to a minor, this time a 13-year-old boy, alleging the same things as the previous 2 incidents. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. Many other people have come forward with allegations against Dylan, but the ones that I discussed in this video are the most substantiated. There is an obvious pattern here of Dylan contacting people around the age of 14 and sending them explicit imagery and messages, allegedly, as he hasn't been convicted of any of this. But I've seen a great number of the photos, and the evidence against him is pretty damning. As well as the sheer amount of people that have spoken out against him. It seemed like after the first one, the floodgates opened, and that was in more ways than one. The comments on Dylan's TikToks were flooded with his accusations and trollish comments. So one day, Dylan deleted all of his TikToks, renamed his channel, and started uploading EDM tracks. He would also post very few images of his face to any of his social media accounts, which were now limited to the aforementioned TikTok and his Instagram. And this is where Dylan's story picks up today. Many people believe that he has disappeared from the internet, but this is far from the case. Dylan still posts pretty frequently to his YouTube channel. They aren't thirst traps anymore. He seems to have abandoned that content style. He now does stuff like urban exploration, skateboarding, and photography of the city. He also seems to enjoy EDM music, and it looks like he might even be producing some of his own for concerts. But as hard as he might try to run away from his past, it will always catch up to him. The accusations against Dylan are extensive and far-reaching, and because of that, he is now one of the most well-known TikTok predators. Realizing this, he deleted most of his TikToks and moved to YouTube, but it undoes nothing. Dylan once said that he hoped all of this wouldn't affect his future career on TikTok and in life, but it most certainly has. I think that he has stopped posting videos of his face because he wants it to be less infamous. Right now there are posts with hundreds of thousands of views exposing him, showing his face. That is something he will never be able to wash off. And I assume that this stain will follow him for the rest of his days. I also have to assume that Dylan hasn't changed. He acted like he was sorry, only to commit these actions again and again, which leads me to believe that he is not remorseful, and that he is very capable of doing this again. He got off scot-free the other 4 times. What's to stop him from doing it a 5th time? What's to stop him from doing this behavior under the table? The truth is nothing. How many more people have allegations against Dylan? I don't think that we will ever know. The Wolfpack Elite, also known as Firewolf Demon or Jeremy, is a middle-aged man from Pennsylvania. In the early 2020s, Jeremy and his friends would be the subject of a couple of viral TikTok videos, and some of those proved to be quite controversial, because through a combination of lies and make-believe, the story is extremely hard to piece together, leading the Wolfpack to be accused of some of the worst things humanly possible, and causing them many problems. Today we are going to talk about the Wolfpack Elite's family destruction, as well as the numerous controversies they've been involved in, and attempt to try and piece this all together. It's a story of love, lust, and power. This is the Wolfpack Elite. In order to understand the Wolfpack fully, I need to introduce you to each member individually. First of which is the Alpha, Jeremy, leader of the pack, a serious man
Damn, that scared
who
the fuck
thinks
out of me.
very highly of himself,
Yeah, I look
and
like a
seems to
silver
be
knight.
the source of all of this wolf pack fantasy. Then there is the den mother, Allie. Allie is Jeremy's wife, and I've perceived her to be generally nice and happy. Then there is the beta, Tara. Make no mistake, Alpha and Beta are not in a relationship. They are brother and sister. Beta is in fact married to Delta, the fourth and final member of the Wolfpack, a man named Eric. Eric is extremely shy and polite. We don't ever really hear him say much. And I think a big reason behind that is the close relationship of Alpha and Beta, which is deeper than just brother and sister and gets into some pretty dark territory. Alpha and Beta would refer to each other as brother and sister in a wide variety of their TikToks. So people were pretty shocked when a couple of new TikToks surfaced of the two in a more intimate setting. They would say that not only are they in a relationship, but they have 2 children together, and that a third was on the way.
You're home, John? Then go get it. I want to look at it. Homework, or I'll take your controller.
Go now. Sorry, guys. My head is such a pain in the butt. I already hour kid.
Oh, it's my fucking shards again.
I'm home officially. Oh, by the way, how was your 5 o'clock? Was it good for you? Did Junior listen to you? What about Princess?
I lost my humanity, fuck.
Daddy's little angel.
I'm dumb. She's mommy's girl, but daddy's girl.
Yep, eternal.
Huh? No, they're not.
Let me see if I can find that video, because that's kind of gay. And I don't care, they're like incestuous or some shit. I don't want to check out scary stuff because
Goddamn bum back here or what? I'm on camera ahead, so we got. Yeah, that's right. Folks in the bar are just enjoying a crap out of it. Good offer. Guys, here, when he's sitting at a bar, what the hell is that, man?
The message boards of equals disturbing and intriguing, and what started as a casual thread would soon turn into something very strange. In November of 2010, a user requested to see pictures of battle stations, a term referencing PC gaming setups. A few users would respond with photos, while others replied with colorful language commonly used in the old days of the internet. And as the thread continued, an anonymous user would reply with a rather strange entry. I think of it more as a sanctuary than a battle station, but here you go. Attached to the post was a JPEG image showing some type of anthropomorphic dog or wolf sitting on a porch swing while looking at an old laptop. Users on the thread would respond like you'd expect, but with one in particular asking to see more. The anonymous user would oblige by sending an alternate angle of the animal sitting on the swing in front of the laptop. From this angle, it's fairly clear that this is some type of large doll wearing a blue dress, jewelry, and a wig on the top of its head. The 4chan users on the thread would go back and forth about the absurdity of the pictures, with one of the users in particular referring to the doll as a teddy bear. In response to this, the anonymous user would reply, "Well, the teddy bear is called Samantha, and she is part of my family. I made her myself. I use the love seat because sometimes I like to move my desk out of the way and change my room into various fantasy things. This is Samantha's younger sister, Stacy. The photograph attached shows yet another doll, but this time it is sitting in the passenger seat of the car. The following photographs posted to the thread by the user show a collection of dolls surrounding a television set. The caption reads, "She loves to have guests, but we never want them to leave. We won't let them."
What the fuck is going on?
These comments left by the anonymous user would lead people on the thread to a number of different conclusions. The first and foremost being that the dolls were used in sexual activities. When analyzing the photo of the dolls around the television, two of them are dressed in women's lingerie. Not to mention, both were crafted with particular aspects of their body intentionally exaggerated. Users would also call to attention this photo in particular, where you can see two framed photographs behind the doll. The one on the left shows what appears to be one of the dolls reading a book at a beach, while the other shows an anthropomorphic bunny rabbit resting on its knees. These photographs and cryptic messages would send 4chan users on a mission to find out the exact identity of the anonymous user. But the search wouldn't go as expected, because as it would turn out, the user wasn't just a collector of the dolls. He was their creator. Another photo would eventually surface on 4chan, featuring two dolls in very similar attire. The main difference being that these two look more like traditional women as opposed to the aforementioned anthropomorphic dog. The comment attached to this photo, left by the anonymous user, reads, "I'm glad you're interested in my creations. Soon, everyone will be able to purchase them through my website. Although there may be some delay, as they are all handmade." The user would then post the photo picture. The user, the man in the photograph, sits on the couch with his wife and child as one of his dolls rests in his lap. "Well, I never them. I made them, and as such, I am their god, and can instill my will upon them.
Jesus
I have a wife and children who also enjoy time in the fantasy world, but it is nothing bad or wrong." This would be the final post from the user, as just after posting this, he left the site entirely. The absence of the anonymous doll maker left 4chan users perplexed, curious if the whole thing was genuine or just a joke. Unbeknownst to those on the thread, the doll maker was busy behind the scenes, working on something that he would always be remembered for. In late 2010 and into 2011, hobbies like doll making and some of the other things that we're going to be talking about weren't as accepted as they are now. As such, the way in which the anonymous doll maker was treated is rather unfortunate, and had times been different, maybe it would have resulted in a better outcome for the doll maker rather than what was inevitably given to him.
It's on this poor humanity.
This was the only existing photo of the man behind these strange doll posts. The picturesque nature of a family spending time together, seemingly interrupted by some dust on the lens. With complete silence from the doll maker and his 4chan account, users on the site quickly screenshotted and archived any and all content pertaining to the anonymous user. These screenshots would later be reposted to Reddit, where a large number of people became interested in what exactly happened to the man behind the dolls. Through the combined efforts of the forum users, new photographs of the doll maker and his creations began to surface, and along with this came a growing. This guy decided to leave his wife and start a new life with this thing. Edits like this began persuading people that the anonymous user had actually left his wife and children behind for the female doll seen in the photographs. One thing was still uncertain. Amidst all the rumors and sensationalized stories, who exactly was the man in these photographs? Truth, as it turns out, is sometimes stranger than fiction. If there's something for certain, the internet is persistent, and when scavengers are interested in something, they will stop at nothing to find the answers that they want. As the story of the anonymous doll maker made its rounds on Reddit, a small group of people became obsessed with finding the truth. As a result, it led to the formation of a group on Reddit known as r/theguy. Created on December 19th of 2011, the page's sole purpose was to identify who they referred to as that guy from 4chan with the weird sex puppets. When visiting the subreddit today, it's very clear that it has disintegrated into yet another dead page on the internet. But back during its initial release, it was responsible for disclosing some of the most important information regarding the doll maker. One of the users on the subreddit, known as DJ Mistress, became a frequent contributor on certain threads related to information on the doll maker. On a post dated back to 14 years ago, the header reads, "He says he still lives with his family. Also advised not to contact." Beneath this, DJ Mistress writes, "As a friend of the guy, I can tell you that his intentions in making the dolls are good and are not sexual in nature. Contrary to what you guys are made to believe, he is a guy that likes having fun with his non-sex dolls. I actually have one of the first dolls he ever made. The doll is human in nature, meaning human face and all. He does high quality work. Anyway, that is my insight on the guy." There are a few things that stand out about this comment. The first and foremost being the verbiage and grammar used is shockingly similar to that of the anonymous 4chan user. And in a subreddit full of people, laughing at and cracking jokes at the doll maker's expense, DJ Mistress is perhaps the only individual to come to the doll maker's defense. As a result, speculation would soon rise throughout the community of r/theguy that the user DJ Mistress was actually the guy operating in disguise. You people think he is weird for his hobbies. I'm sure if we dig into your hobbies, I'm sure we will find interesting ones. Trust me, as a mistress, I have seen and heard just about any fetish known to man, and some that you wouldn't think of. No one is perfect, and we all have our things. While some of the users on the subreddit believed DJ Mistress to simply be a troll, others were not convinced. And with discourse over the validity of DJ Mistress, something else was happening on the other side. r/theguy side.
Okay, I was getting backshotted from too soon.
He supposedly left his wife to live solely with his creations, although, according to his website, it was a joint hobby.
Why are there so many fucking late game people in the fucking
He
show?
also has a website with 300 plus pictures of him with the dolls. If you recall, one of the final posts the doll maker ever made on 4chan spoke about the opportunity to purchase dolls through his website. While never linked on 4chan itself, Reddit users would find the man's website. But there's a problem. When visiting either link on the thread, it will take you to a no-access page. However, it wouldn't take long for r/theguy users to trace the URL back to stuffedcompany.com. Finally, some information on the ever-elusive doll maker. But with 2 dead links, the only way to access the forgotten website is through the Wayback Machine. The earliest screen caps bring us to February of 2008. The About section reads that the figures are made out of plush teddy bear material, ranging from 4 to 5 feet tall and weighing just under 17 pounds. As the final line states, these are sexy dolls, not to be confused with sex dolls. Below
What's the
is a
difference?
now missing image of Honey the bear with the caption, "She'll never say that you're moving too fast for her." From here, the bottom of the page is a breakdown containing pricing and shipping throughout the United States and Canada. And while the text invites us to email the owners of the website, no address is ever given. This lead was promising, an entire website created by the anonymous doll maker, his identity one step closer to being solved. Visiting the gallery section at the top
It turned out to be the
led to
fucking
some
Muppets
interesting
creator.
finds. Each of the JPEG files listed on the site had one unique detail attached to them: the name of the owner of the pictures, Dude Man and Midi Man. But when trying to access these photographs, the archives ended abruptly. Dude Man and Midi Man, two obviously fake names for people who don't
What does that mean?
know
Disaster
their
or gone?
Is it out of
Let's see it. Disasters, kill cursor, I guess this is also rare. What
privacy, or do they have
the
something
fuck? Getting my asshole stretched out by random
According to the
people is rare.
Wayback Machine, the stuffed company
Crazy.
website would undergo a number of cosmetic changes in mid-2013. The most notable of these being the complete redesign of the homepage, including a photograph of the man and the woman sitting in the family photograph from before. This time, both of them have adults sitting on the lap. As the updated text explains, the couple began the business after the man needed a travel companion. This resulted in the creation of Honey Bear. After this, they created a male companion for Honey Bear, who the woman would name Jessie Bear. Honey and Jessie would signal the start of a doll-making journey for the couple. A journey that would inevitably lead them to some dark places. The seemingly happy couple in the photograph concealing something boiling just beneath the surface. Also saw some very important updates in the Dollmaker's story. While the previous iterations of the Stuffed Company website only contained photo galleries, newer additions included a video section. When exploring this, users have the opportunity to watch videos embedded directly into the website, or click a link and be redirected to another page. This redirection
I forgot that he got fucking buff.
by the name Dude Man 2. As it turns out, the strange name accompanying the JPEG images on the Stuffed Company website was not just a coincidence. Dude Man was the online username of the anonymous doll maker all along. His YouTube channel, a trail of tiny breadcrumbs leading us one step closer to finding out the truth behind his strange obsession. The question still remained, however, who was operating under the name MIDI Man? Was it Dude Man's wife or someone different entirely?
Is it even better than what I? Yeah, a lot better.
No, I do this all the time.
My first beer.
Dude Man joined YouTube in July of 2007. His first upload was a 52-second video of one of his dolls sitting on a rocking chair. There's something uniquely disturbing about this video, whether it be the doll staring directly at the camera, or the fact that Dude Man is employing an animation technique known as stop motion. The animation style gives a sense of artificial life to an otherwise inanimate object, and it wouldn't be the last time that he used this technique. While Dude Man himself wasn't initially featured in the videos, the dolls would often make references to him during the videos.
Hey, Dude Man, can I buy these sexy high heels?
Nearly all of the uploads contain one recurring detail: the inclusion of the Stuffed Company doll website. Whether it be in the comment section, description, or at the end of a video, it appears that Dude Man had one goal in particular when it came to his YouTube channel. He wanted to gain an audience there and then drive them over to the Stuffed Company website as paying customers. But as the uploads progressed, the man who was once merely mentioned by his puppets would take a much more central role on the channel, going from being on screen himself to even making public appearances.
Yeah.
This is a fursuit I made. It is Fox McCloud, but I call him Fox. This video, posted in October of 2011, shows Dude Man showing off his fursuit. The once shy and timid doll maker seemingly coming out of his shell while wearing the suit. This would be the first of a series of uploads showing a new passion for Dude Man and his wife. As seen in the upload New Furry on the Block, Dude Man records a pink bunny who I can only assume to be his wife. Following these uploads, Dude Man and his wife would take their fursuits to the public, visiting a mall during trick-or-treat and what appears to be some sort of county fair. Despite some of the odd looks from people passing by, a lot of people, especially children, seem to be enamored with Dude Man and his McFox suit. These positive reactions, however, would not transfer over to the internet. In the comment section of Dude Man's fursuit video, there are people making fun of him and laughing at one of his hobbies. After the upload Fursuiting My First Time, Dude Man would only upload 2 more times before disappearing once again. The comments and negativity seemingly pushing him to do the unthinkable. What was once a labor of love and growing business had effectively fallen to the ground. Dude Man hadn't posted to his YouTube channel since September of 2013. The Stuffed Company website would remain the same throughout the years, never updating past the year 2013. Eventually, the website domain would expire, the history of Stuffed Company becoming yet another page on the It was around this time when the community of r/theguy began to draw some disturbing conclusions. The reason Dude Man was missing from his YouTube and his website was because he ended his life. Through the consistent barrage of negative comments, cyberbullying, and mistreatment from the online community, people began to suspect that it was all too much for Dude Man. Why else would he stop creating his beloved dolls? It seems the only thing that could separate them was the cold embrace of death. On the other side of the coin, Dude Man's name began popping up on other parts of Reddit, including this post, which reads, "I also found a bookmark from about a decade ago of someone I feared was deeply unstable. I think I reported that person already though. Dude Man 2. He was featured in a 4chan green text long ago." Posts like this began contributing to the lore that Dude Man was some kind of monster, perhaps his disappearance as a result of his incarceration.
Damn.
But this isn't the case. In fact, the community that once sought to discover Dude Man in the first place uncovered something truly interesting.
The silicone dolls would be too cold, and they're just not right for me because mine are out in the family room and everywhere else, which you can put them there too, but as for cuddling, they're too cold, and then for weight-wise, I travel a lot. I can't just pick that thing up and go and throw it in my work bag. So then I came up with these. They're a lot more snugglier, they're warm. Why would you want to sleep with a body pillow when you can have one?
This footage traces back to a documentary known as All Dolled Up. The documentary was once thought to be lost. All the links on the r/theguy Reddit leading to unavailable pages. But through research, I was able to find the film, and it shows Dude Man in a light in which we have yet to see.
They're very sexy looking animals, and there's many people that enjoy having a sexy looking animal. Yeah, oh look at that, you know, they're very posable. Where do you get all your enjoyment?
I think the snuggling is, but the creating of them is a lot of fun.
Out of the 56-minute
That's pretty
runtime
weird.
of the film, Dude Man is only featured in 3 minutes. The purpose of the documentary was to shed light on a community of people who were in particular interested in life-size dolls. It was directed and produced by a man named David Hockney, who would later become an instrumental figure in Dude Man's life. Finding information on David is difficult, because despite his main role in the documentary, he doesn't normally serve as a leading man. Aside from the documentary, he normally works behind the scenes as an audio engineer, his life seemingly average and unassuming. Or so it would seem. Like Dude Man and his wife, David also
Oh, shit.
shares an infatuation
Jesus
with
fuck,
life
you scared the
dolls.
fuck out of me.
Only his motivations for doing so differ from Dude Man, whose identity would partially be disclosed during this interview.
How snuggly is he compared to Dude here, your husband? Who's the cuddliest?
During this clip, we find out that Dude Man's real name is Michael. Though unassuming at first, the All Dolled Up documentary would spark a long-term working relationship between Michael and David. Throughout the film, it's clear that David himself has an obsession with these dolls, and like most talked about in this film, he uses them for his own sexual purposes. This detail is a clear deterrent to Michael during their interview, who shows visible signs of discomfort when the subject is brought up.
They're very sexy looking animals.
Following the release of All Dolled Up, Michael and David would begin working together. David's website, as talked about in the documentary, was known as teddybabestore.com. When visiting some of the old footage of the website, it's clear that Michael's craftsmanship is all over the place. It would seem as though that David was responsible for orders and networking, and Michael would create and supply his dolls as needed. But something happened soon after their partnership that changed the course of the website forever. Up until this point, it's very clear that Michael does not view his creations as sex dolls. Instead, he enjoys their company and travels with them on the regular to keep from getting lonely. But David had a different view of the dolls and how they should be used. In July of 2016, David made a post to a popular doll collector's website known as the Doll Forum. He explained that the website was being changed and that his partnership with Michael was effectively over. Dude Man and I had a falling out a few years back. He is not interested in making sex dolls, but I have been reading and listening. Plus, I have been using Teddy Babes since 2007, so I have a lot of changes and mods in mind for a new line of Teddy Babes. Improved frames to allow a sitting position, silicone parts instead of latex for lips, and other key places. As such, the relationship between Michael and David was over. And to those who thought that Michael's disappearance on the Stuff Company website and his YouTube channel meant that he was either dead or got arrested, were proven wrong. Interestingly enough, David's profile picture shows him and one of his dolls drinking from 2 straws. The text below them reads, Miniman. The question of who was the other person operating alongside Michael all these years finally put to rest. And though the falling out between the two might have been for the best, Michael was gone once again. His absence felt deeply across the r/theguy community. Following the breakthroughs on the r/theguy Reddit account, the page saw a huge decline in substance. The community that had once provided information on the ever-elusive doll maker had become yet another piece of internet history. And while the page sat collecting dust, the people truly invested in Michael and his story were talking on the doll forums. I haven't heard from Teddy Babes in a long time. I hope they're okay. It's nice to see small businesses. Too bad Dude Man didn't work out. He was going to make stuffed dolls, then sadly his father passed away. I think Dude Man stopped making dolls because he didn't like people using them as sex dolls. These speculations and others from the doll forum are the only bits of information regarding Dude Man's current status. His departure from the internet transcending him into myth and urban legend. Prior to researching Michael and his case, I fell victim to what I read about him online. The idea that he was some type of selling state-of-the-art plush dolls and choosing them over his wife and children. But none of these assumptions are the case. Michael and his wife began this hobby for the sake of companionship. Michael travels for work, taking to the road alone and leaving his wife without a husband to hold. As a result, the two sought to solve the problem. These life-size dolls were meant to offer what the two could not give one another when separated, something to hold and something to confide in. In a world that likes to point the finger at things that it doesn't understand, the story of Michael, a man who is just trying to get by, doing what he loved, can easily get misconstrued. With little to no information on the current status or whereabouts of Michael and his wife, all I can sincerely hope is that they are doing better and enjoying what they love to do. Taking the necessary time out of the spotlight to relax and focus on just being human.
It's very why not? But I think it's considered an X weapon.
When you think of claustrophobic videos, the image of a caver pushing themselves through a tight squeeze might come to mind. Videos of these thrill seekers have permeated the dark side of the internet. Stories where a routine cave diving expedition turns into a nightmare after one of the members can't free themselves from the cave's most narrow tunnels. But there's a new trend circulating on the internet, a trend in which the participants willingly put their lives on the line, their final moments spent in agonizing claustrophobia. This video belongs to the following TikTok user. We will refer to them as Dog. The video you have just seen is labeled Day 5, and it is a part of a week-long series of videos where Dog dives into increasingly dangerous areas. This upload in particular seemingly shows Dog's final moments as he sinks to the bottom of a bog. By comparison, the first day brings us to July 3rd of this year. This entry is much tamer, showing Dog rolling around in what appears to be a shallow pool of mud. The caption reads, "Angle wasn't the best, but it was still fun. Ran, jumped into the quarry mud, and slogged my way across the other side. Was out of breath." Immediately, users watching the video were confused as to why Dog, or anyone else for that matter, would want to partake in such a strange activity. But it only gets worse from here. In fact, it might have been Dog's infatuation with the mud that led to his death. The idea of bog jumping isn't something entirely new. While some, including myself, may not understand it, a lot of people view this activity as something fun and innocent. Bog jumping unsupervised, alone, and in an isolated area, however, is a different story. Now, before we get any further, I just want to address what exactly is a bog and why it might have been more potentially dangerous than some of the other jumps that Dog was doing at the time. A bog is a wetland that has a lot of dead plants in it. Over time, these piles of dead plants pile beneath the water and become what is referred to as peat. Peat is a material that is very viscous and thick when combined with water. Peat is very heavy and very difficult to get out of, a fact that might have led to the terrifying situation that Dog found himself in.
Oh no, I don't feel like I'm watching it. Let's play Dark Souls. Just see me be bad. This dude come from last time? How did I even aggro him? That's the real question. They're normally right here. Exercise.
Lala.
Little tralala. Let's see if I know any of these urban legends.
Rona, the Bunny Man, sewer gators. Urban legends like these have haunted many despite their surreal descriptions, but the children of the early 2000s to the early 2010s grew up with nightmares that weren't told to them, but instead were within their screens. Virtual worlds like Club Penguin, Roblox, Animal Jam, and Webkinz were all hubs for kids to have fun, interact with others, and just find a way to escape from the outside world. Yet, all might not be as innocent as initially thought. These games sometimes had figures of fear that traumatized many, including myself.
What games?
F-Man122, the Webkinz Killer, John Doe, and much, much more. Were they
The
real?
Webkinz Killer is fucking insane. What the
Scare us so
fuck?
much. It's time we find the answers to all those questions.
Let's bring in extremely not common, but an uncommon fact of life that does happen to games that we associate with our innocent. So when we're children, we don't think that we're gonna see like someone die. Gonna see some Webkinz Killer. Fucking nut. Kind of base though.
Webkinz was a game that released in 2005 by the company Gans, who made the stuffed animals of the same name. These stuffed animals would have digital counterparts to explore the lobby, be customized, and taken care of, and also get involved in various mini-games. All seems nice and innocent, right? Well actually, Webkinz is home to one of the most notorious myths in gaming, the Webkinz Killer. Our story begins in 2007, where stories of this myth were starting to emerge, though it was always being told differently. Some stories spoke of the Webkinz Killer being in the form of an evil penguin with red eyes that would lay waste to a user's Webkinz, displaying blood and guts, before eventually destroying the user's computer. Other descriptions of the Webkinz Killer included a chihuahua or a bear holding a knife. One common scenario regarding the Webkinz Killer revolves around different colored boxes. Some stories of the box included a bomb that, when clicked, would end up exploding the Webkinz. Others were described in the following emails. My children came home from school today and all the talk in 1st and 2nd grade was of some kind of Webkinz malware. A black, red, or yellow box appears in your Webkinz world. If you click on the black box, a Neopet pops out with a knife and chops off your Webkinz's head off. The red box does the same thing. If you click on a yellow box, you lose your Webkinz's possessions and money. It sounds like a legend to me, but little kids are telling my kids, this happened to me, not sure what to think. The Webkinz virus thing is totally true. It happened to 2/2 of my friends on Webkinz. There's either some kind of gift on the floor or some kind of bomby thingy. It pops out like a gift. Then Dr. Quack or Miss Birdie pops up. Lights go out, red eyes come, make slashing noises on your computer. And then the lights turn on and your Webkinz are dead on the floor with blood on them. You probably think that Webkinz people would never do that. But you were right, but Neopets would. Why? Because they got angry that everyone went on Webkinz, and nobody went on Neopets anymore. So they hacked into Webkinz and put some kind of virus. It is pretty scary for kids, so be careful with what you do with your Webkinz, and don't go to your room. Like seen in the email shown earlier, the two biggest culprits behind who the Webkinz Killer could be were Miss Birdie and Dr. Quack, but sometimes Miss Tabby would be thrown into the mix. The NPCs of Webkinz had an uncanny mix between looking animal-like and human, and it didn't help that they were always staring right into your soul. It's only right, rumors would spread about these two having something sinister to hide. Miss Tabby, who was the employment office operator, had the least popular of the rumors, with accounts stating that she destroyed your Webkinz. Miss Birdie was the NPC that ran the
you just pulled the damn weekend and just shot your damn Webkinz in the face.
adoption center for you to adopt Webkinz. She seemed all sweet and innocent, but the Webkinz Killer rumors would say otherwise. Sometimes she'd pop out of the red box to kill your Webkinz. Other times, she'd climb through the window and stab the Webkinz. However, Dr. Quack would really be the main suspect behind the Webkinz Killer myth. Dr. Quack, if it wasn't obvious from his appearance and title, was the main medic of the Webkinz world. Webkinz were capable of being sick, and if they were, Dr. Quack's office was the place to take them. Many accounts talked of an Easter egg where if the poster in his office was clicked 37 times, Dr. Quack would pull out a chainsaw and murder your Webkinz. This account was of course followed by the iconic image of Dr. Quack, looking evil, holding a chainsaw with an orange cat facing its inevitable death. The Dr. Quack rumors don't end there, as there would also be accounts of Dr. Quack selling pills for 100 kins cash that could kill your Webkins. I guess fentanyl is canon to Webkins lore.
That's what I'm saying. Fucking dude just peddling fent. Fucking base, holy shit. Where was this Webkins out when I was a fucking kid? All I did was just run around and be fucking boring. Holy hell. And shit, I wanted to do a Webkins fentanyl. I need that fentanyl slime. No, I'll do it by myself.
As to where the myth originated from,
Let's drop
nobody
dick on a
knows,
bitch.
but there are theories that it could have been from angered employees, oppositions from Club Penguin and Neopets, which were other virtual world games, or just a guy who doesn't like Webkins. What also helped spread this myth were the different videos covering this rumor, which was how I first learned of the myth when I was a lot younger. These videos were always edited into Windows Movie Maker, having screens of text telling the story while also having creepy music and images that came from a website titled creepywebkins.pixo.com. This website has since been lost to time, but it contains several different graphic edits of Webkins pets. Pictures like these would scar the minds of many innocent children who just wanted to watch YouTube videos of their favorite game. It was more than just the fact that kids were looking at gore of cute cartoon animals. It was that they were looking at gore of a cute cartoon animal they treated as if it was a real pet. A pet that was given as a gift, cared for, customized, and had milk drink out of and slammed into a wall. A rumor like this would instill the fear that a kid may lose something they cared about. It wouldn't take long for GANs to notice, as they eventually put their own statement out. Concerned about a rumor? Many people have been writing in, asking about a rumor that is going around.
Need that fentanyl
Something in the
slime.
Webkins world hurting Webkins pets. The most important thing to know is that this rumor is not true at all. Nothing in Webkins
Reach for my neck, you'll go turn to an example.
Everyone at Webkins World headquarters works really hard to
Shit,
make
that was pretty
Webkins World a
easy.
safe, happy, and fun place to play. We want you and
You
your
need that
Webkins
fan.
pets to have a great time playing on the site.
Fuck.
Please make sure to tell your friends that their pets are safe and the rumor is not true. Remember that we would never allow anything to hurt your Webkins pets. This might seem like the end of the Webkins rumor until you remember Dr. Quack mysteriously retired on March 3rd, 2015.
Made that
Decided to run
phone
for
call.
mayor in 2016. What could he be hiding?
Yeah. It's always Dr. Quack. I don't trust that motherfucker. He said
Penguin is a
fentanyl.
game that needs
He
no
sold me
introduction.
fentanyl.
When it comes to online kids games, it's probably the first thing you think of.
That's
And
why I
just like the
can't
rest of
talk,
this list,
because I need
it was
that
no
fentanyl.
stranger to urban legends of its own. There were ones like Rockhopper's Island, the Rainbow Puffle, and the Ninjas, but really the one we all think of is the tipping of the iceberg. The iceberg was a floating chunk of ice that was northeast of the map. There really wasn't much on the iceberg besides the submarine game, but for many years people have speculated the iceberg could be tipped if enough people danced on the iceberg with the hard hat item, which had a special animation featuring a jackhammer. If the iceberg tipped, you either got a large reward of in-game currency or a ban. The myth itself, or any of Club Penguin's myths, weren't particularly scary, but it was more so the videos about them that freaked me out. From around 2007 and onwards, before the game's end, there would be plenty of fake videos and tutorials showcasing the iceberg being tipped. This, of course, was not true for a while. Old Club Penguin videos were always very unsettling to me when I was younger, and I can't pinpoint it to why. Maybe it was the lack of sound besides the 009 Dreamscape music. Even now, the feeling I get when I look at fake Club Penguin footage is the same feeling I get when looking at things like liminal spaces or analog horror warning screens. That feeling of nostalgia combined with the feeling of uneasiness. It's like I stepped into fragments of a broken timeline. What really scared me when I was a kid was a video titled How to Tip the Iceberg by a user named ChemicalRomance1313. In this video, rather than use the jackhammer to tip the iceberg, the user instead uses an app called Desktop Destroyer, which was an app that turned your mouse cursor into various destructive weapons. There wasn't any audio to the video, and in general I get creeped out by silent things. Combine that with the cartoony violence, you get something that absolutely terrified the living shit out of me as a kid, when it really shouldn't have. Club Penguin did take note of the urban legend, hiding Easter eggs like the iceberg being tipped in paintings, and the rumor being mentioned in the Ask Antarctic section of the Club Penguin Times. There was even an achievement that could be earned if 30 penguins danced on the iceberg with hard hats. Eventually, in the game's final days before shutting down, the iceberg could eventually be tipped if 5 players had blue penguins, blue puffles, and danced with the hard hat. Once the iceberg tipped, there would be a large dance floor, a bin of free iceberg tipper hats, and a plaque that said, "Together we can build an island, create a community, and even tip an iceberg. Waddle on." After many years, the Iceberg
Oh, the
Urban Legend
halberd is
eventually
actually
came to a
pretty
wholesome
fucking strong.
conclusion, alongside the game itself. Now what Battlefield is to Call of Duty is what Animal Jam is to Club Penguin. But for those of you unaware, Animal Jam is an online virtual world where you can play as many different animals. However, the
I
main
too
thing that
played
split
Animal
Animal Jam
Jam.
from other virtual worlds was the value of certain items and the use of trading. Some people traded knives
Yeah,
in
what the fuck?
CSGO, or hats in Team Fortress 2, but for me, it was fox hats and spiked collars. Animal Jam players would go out of their way to get the rarest items and make their character look as fashionable as possible. The economy of rare items also meant
See, even as kids, we knew we needed to die by the drip. Like, God can judge me all he wants, but the people on earth are gonna judge me from what I'm wearing in my coffin. I need to be looking fly as fuck.
and the appearance of scammers, but also myths surrounding hackers. These hackers could simply take away the cosmetics that jammers were so proud of, which added a lot to their notoriety. To anyone who grew up playing Animal Jam, the first name that pops up in their heads is none other than Fman122. This rumor started to pop around 2012 or 2013. Fman122 was rumored to be a hacker that would send mail or jamagrams to players and hack their accounts through there. The Animal Jam developers would deny this, talking about how it's impossible to hack through jamagrams, though some believed that this was just damage control. Fman122 had a very easy avatar to mimic, as he didn't have any cosmetics on and only relied on the default colors. So it was very easy for people to pose as Fman, and there would also be videos talking about the return of Fman122. I actually saw one of these lookalikes many years ago. I was in the Crystal Sands part of the map when I suddenly see this fool who looked just like Fman122. He was completely silent, and the people around him were freaking the fuck out. I was pretty shaken up, as I didn't want to lose my account of rare items. Yet at the same time, I actually wanted this man to be Fman. It would have been a great story to tell my grandchildren. Of course, this wasn't him. Things such as jamagram glitches,
The drip dealer is
username
insane,
exploits,
bro.
and email pranks started to become leads toward
Bro was really just the cartel of drip. That's how I want to be known as. Fucking the Pablo Escobar of drip. Like, whoever needs that fentanyl slime, I got him. Cheers.
towards Fman's existence. Fman would also be rumored to be linked with another infamous Animal Jam hacker named Wretched Jungle, who was supposedly responsible for the hacking of many Animal Jam content creators. Although Wretched Jungle is more so linked to an Animal Jam hacking group called Mighty Squad, Fman also developed a fanbase of his own, with several different fan art and ships being made of him. He even made it onto someone's Hear Me Out cake. For the most part, I only believed in Fman122 until 2015, which was when I stopped playing the game in general. It just seemed like a myth I grew out of believing. That was until I saw a video by a user named KekAJ titled, What Really Happened to Fman122 After Animal Jam? The Truth. There's no way to really confirm if anything in the video is true, but if it is, then the Fman122 rabbit hole is a lot deeper than we think, and it genuinely has a sad end to it. Fman122 was ran by an Animal Jam user who also had an account named Abracadabra Alakazam, and they were a competent hacker that would gain access to other people's accounts and transfer their items into theirs. The most common theory as to
Oh, bro, hacked too close to the sun, got swatted by the FBI. Bro, it turns out that it was fucking Snowden. The most notorious Animal Jam hacker was Edward Snowden. He not only hacked the fucking government files, he also hacked the drip to many young kids. R.I.P. the GOAT. Greatest to ever do it. The original fuck them kids. I need that drip slime. If you ain't talking drip, I don't want to talk. Fucking Edward Snowden being the damn animal. He's also the fucking Neopets fucking killer.
how he hacked was through password cracking. It was discovered by a close friend of Fman122 that he unfortunately passed away. His legacy lives on in the form of another game called Web Phishing, where a hacker seems to have taken on the mantle to continue the Fman havoc. Animal Jam had another urban legend in the form of Lost Jammer. The story went that if you did a specific ritual involving home items, you'd summon the Lost Jammer. Its appearance was one that could definitely scare off some kids. When summoned, he'd hack into the Animal Jam account. This myth was uploaded all over Animal Jam YouTube, with people staging summonings and claiming to be hacked. But yet again, Lost Jammer was simply a myth. Even as a kid, it was pretty obvious that those videos were fake. I just felt the need to bring it up because it was a really wacky myth, and it's largely forgotten. Animal Jam did acknowledge this myth, and added Lost Jammer in some Halloween promotional material. So hey, I guess he's not really a myth after all. Everyone in the world plays Roblox, and if they don't, they'll probably play it at some point.
That was terrible. I didn't even hit him once.
Users. There's so much you could potentially lose to these hackers, including progress in games and money spent on Robux. When it comes to Roblox hacker myths, one of the first that comes up is a man named 1x1x1x1. But really, 1x1 was a test account made in 2007 by a Roblox employee named Shedletsky. Shedletsky also created some lore for Roblox, which included a statement about 1x1. The first mention of 1x1 was in a Roblox item called the Necrobloxicon. In the description of the item it reads, "And there came into this world a great darkness, a being of pure hatred with the name of 1x1x1x1, or in later ages, simply the adversary. 1x1 is an entity from the 4th dimension who loathes Robloxia for its 3D-ness and has vowed to destroy it. 1x1 was imprisoned by 2x2 at the dawn of time, yet there are those who seek to free him."
Based.
From then on, many accounts and
Bro, starting a satanic cult of a fucking 1x1 fucking character. The 2D will reign supreme in space.
videos would pop up regarding 1x1, claiming him to be a hacker. It wouldn't be until a few years later in 2000.
I won't stop until the world is a flat surface, and then we shall witness true perfection. Be like that one Rick and Morty episode. Fuck, just stab, dude. Fuck.
2011, where a user known as Mr. Doombringer would post a statement in a forum debunking this whole 1x1 myth. I posted this link in a thread that subsequently died. I'm posting it here so you can refer back to it later. Keep the link to this forum, distribute it. Tell the people the truth, because the truth is actually quite boring. Let's talk about where the name comes from. Long ago, Telemon posted a number of stories about Roblox's backstory to the news. One of these included mentions of 2x2, the first brick copied over and over. Every other brick were its descendants. Then in a footnote, he mentions the evil 1x1x1. So that's where the name comes from. Blame John. Let's talk about why people say he's a hacker. The guy whose name is long forgotten found an exploit, not cheat engine, to insert control scripts into online places. He sent me a message telling me he had something to demonstrate. I joined him in Crossroads, and it started rating heads saying things along the lines of he's coming back, and 1x1 is coming for you, and the likes. People in the server freaked out. I found it hilarious. He gave me instructions on how it works, and I reported it to the devs. End of story. Other people, like Dignity, would find other ways
and then they go
to
in there
insert
with the shield that
scripts,
way can block the
and
person
people would
and
assume that they have
downslash.
something to do with the hacker group 1x1x1. Truth is, it was one guy playing off a Roblox lore thing. Get over it, it's that boring. That didn't stop Roblox users from believing the myth, as videos regarding 1x1 still appeared afterwards. But those are definitely imposters. Roblox has also turned the 1x1 myth into a mascot of sorts, changing his appearance to be more evil looking, while also using him in merchandise and events. 1x1 was someone I'd always hear about from one of my friends who was super into Roblox. I started playing Roblox a little bit after 1x1's existence was debunked, so I don't really have any personal attachment to this myth. But these next two, I definitely have stories to tell about them. Back in the old days of Roblox, people could choose to play as a guest, rather than make an account. These guests couldn't customize their avatars and also weren't able to speak, and their names were randomly generated, appearing as guest, and then a randomly generated number starting from 0 to 9,999. With the introduction of guests, also came with it Guest 666. There were other guest creepypastas like Guest 0, but Guest 666 is really the one that frightened people. Stories of Guest 666 go as far back as 2008, which is the year where guests were introduced. Many of the accounts that witnessed Guest 666 would detail that he would speak unlike the other guests, and also had access to exploits that could ruin the game. In 2017, a Roblox YouTuber named Oblivious HD would make a series of videos revolving around Guest 666, popularizing the myth while also giving Guest 666 the rendition of having a dark appearance and red eyes. Anyone could encounter a guest named Guest 666, and I say that because I encountered a guest named Guest 666 in a family role-playing game. Why I was playing that? Don't ask. But of course, this myth was fake. One thing, Guest 666 is a pretty corny name for an urban legend like this. And like I said before, anyone could have the name. Another thing was that guests got discontinued in 2017, which pretty much killed off this myth and any guest-related myths.
Rip.
Now the last myth I'll talk about
They don't want us to know the
terrified me
truth.
the most out of all of these myths. John Doe and Jane Doe were official Roblox test accounts created by the Roblox CEOs David Baszucki and Eric Cassell. Their account join dates are listed as February 27, 2006, but the real date
Let's get retarded.
2005. That made them the second and third accounts to ever join Roblox. John Doe is actually referred to an anonymous male, while Jane Doe is referred to an anonymous female. For the longest time, the last time either of these accounts were online was in 2006, yet the accounts were somehow able to possess user badges and accept friend requests much later. Because of the mysterious aura these accounts had, they were the subject of speculation and rumors. It was in 2017 when multiple Roblox YouTubers would make videos on the two, spreading the rumor that they were going to hack their accounts on March 18, 2017. I was born after Y2K, and I was too young to process 2012, so this was my doomsday event. It's like an anime trope where a villain is finally going to wake up from the slumber to cause havoc. I was anticipating the day that happened would happen, not the actual day of the rumor. I decided not to put it in my phone. I didn't want to lose my time spent hours being assassinated, because I spent Roblox. Some YouTubers decided
I just
to take
don't like
the
that
risk
the
and
other
play
fucking
Roblox on
gargoyle
March
starts
18th,
with fucking
and well,
on fire.
And everyone thinks they're
And that the fucking fire doesn't affect the other gargoyle. Like, what the fuck? You're weak to fire. You should be like super dead. Stupid. Should have made like a mist attack or something. That way I don't get heated over it. But damn. Oh my god. Is another bastard gonna invade me? Like, dude, chill. I turn off offline mode. Need that fentanyl slime?
Roblox today is going to have something weird happen to it. It's all rumor. I feel like everybody should be going nuts right now. Everybody should be running around knocking shit over. Like,
there were also plenty of Roblox games taking advantage of the situation, having John Doe in the thumbnail and title in order to gain more visits. Suffice to say, these rumors were indeed fake. Roblox would come out 3 days later with an article to squash any of the rumors and also explain more of the backstory behind the two accounts. For all intents and purposes, both accounts are owned and maintained by Roblox. They cannot be used in any way to access or ban other players' accounts, and they're positively harmless. We promise they're friendly. You may even see John or Jane Doe popping into a game sometime to say hello and wish everyone well, clarifying John Doe, Jane Doe's friends, followers, and badges. A few years ago, we observed that some players could add John Doe and Jane Doe to their friends and followers lists on Roblox, or reward these test accounts with badges. We have since disabled this ability. In the following weeks, we will be clearing out both accounts from any friends or badges that were added involuntarily. And John Doe and Jane Doe will also be outfitted with a new set of Roblox branded clothes. We're dedicated to building a fun, safe environment where kids of all ages can power their imagination on Roblox. We hope that this blog post helps put an end to the misconceptions about John Doe and Jane Doe, and that it alleviates any concerns or worries. Consider this myth busted. All of these rumors are way too comical to be real, but when I was a lot younger, these myths induced a kind of trauma in me, and I can assume many of you guys feel the same way. Despite all that, it's just fun to look back at these myths
Well, I never
and laugh
played
at all the
Roblox,
things
so
that
I
used to
can
scare
remember.
us. There are
I'll
probably
play
more
it
and more
a little
myths
bit
that
now
link these
because
games
I'm
and
going
many
back
other
first.
games as well. Some of you guys might be thinking of a certain white-eyed figure. I mainly stuck to a theme of online virtual worlds, and all of these myths were ones I had personal experience with. But hey, if you want me to cover even more myths, comment down below. Also, check out my friends JJ and Help Gage. They were pretty much the first friends I made on YouTube, and all three of us make similar content. Take care of yourselves, and as usual,
I do more damage with the fucking shit. I do roughly more damage. Yeah, I do more damage with that. Benjamin.
Roblox, Club Penguin, and Animal Jam. All games we played as kids to customize our avatars, interact
Let him hit it, Rob. Now you're saying,
but it can take one person to do that experience. A hacker.
A hacker can take away your cosmetics, your years worth of progress, innocence, and maybe even your personal data.
These hackers spread fear and havoc throughout the games they play. They may be gone now, but the authorities still listens in the minds of many users. Last time I talked about figures iconic in games. For the most part, they were mainly urban legends. So how about I talk about the figures who are threats in society? Through Animal Jam, we already covered F-Man 122, Ready to Rumble, the Lost Jammer. There's also a myth surrounding the unknown, but really that just has a name. That's what it's all. Not much to say there. Honestly, I didn't even know about that one until I was learning about the other myths. However, there was one particular hacker I was pretty well aware of during my days of playing Animal Jam.
Yeah,
and
I'll
that
just
was
use
the
the
myth of
bastard.
World King Century 1.
I already have
Initially
the
looking at
gargoyle
him,
thing.
you see a seal avatar, but he doesn't have a preset name that most users have. In fact, it's completely blank. But when you switch to his tiger avatar, you come across this. Yeah, racial slur and profanity. This phenomenon was spread throughout blog posts and YouTube videos. Of course, through mass reporting, Animal Jam caught wind of the user and banned him.
Hello, Snowy Claw. Thank you for contacting Animal Jam Support Headquarters. We're sorry to hear you have come across this person's account and saw those...
Be like for something first.
Welcome to the Stardew Valley Iceberg, Tier 1, Concerned Ape. Concerned Ape, or Eric Barone, is the only developer in Stardew Valley. This guy made the entire game by himself. And he, of course, did have Chucklefish publish the game, handling all the business side of it. But aside from that, Concerned Ape made the whole game from the ground up.
That's insane.
He's been working on another game for quite some time called Haunted Chocolatier. While things like relationship mechanics and combat you may think, oh, it's just gonna be the same, not at all. The style's the same, the graphics, but from the little bit we've seen of combat and dialogue, it's completely redone. The animations alone are way better than anything in Stardew Valley. Even just running around looks completely different. And while the whole premise is different, instead of being on a nice cozy farm, you're now in a cozy haunted
I lost my fucking back down, killing myself.
Just what Concerned Ape has said on Twitter. But it'll be kind of like Stardew Valley, where instead of a vacant
Fuck
farm,
this
you
game!
this kind is a chocolate factory that happens to be haunted. And while Stardew Valley's publisher was Chucklefish, and there's some drama with that, it'll be in a later entry. This one instead is published
I got
all
over
by
the
Concerned
easiest
Ape
boss.
himself. Stardew Valley Expanded. Stardew Valley Expanded is the mod for Stardew Valley. It's basically a massive expansion to the game in a form of a mod. There's new scenes with base game
change the
characters
game.
that flesh out their personality, more than 30 new NPCs,
And yes, I did
new
rage
areas,
quit. Oh my
and
god.
even new farmers, as in competitors. Adds a brand new spin to the game, and overall the mod is just amazing. In some ways it feels like a different game, and in others it just feels like an improvement or expansion onto the base game. Board game. Apparently I've been missing out on a massive industry of video games turned into board games. I saw this entry and thought, oh, okay. Weird, a video game turned into a board game. Sure there's not many of those. Well, apparently there is a lot of them. Some of them being Witcher, Bloodborne, Red...
What are they talking about? Yeah, 'cause, over here. I might have made it smaller, but no, my will be. Disturbing 8 game endings. I will stay with you. I like listening to retrospectives
Real
of.
quick, before we get into today's video, I wanted to talk about my secondary channel, Archive64. For the past year or so, I've been uploading high-quality playthroughs of a variety of games without commentary. When making videos, it can be difficult to find good footage to use for editing, and this is why I decided to start this channel. Not only is it for people who just simply want to enjoy watching commentary-free playthroughs of games, but it's also for those who want to start making content of their own without worrying about where to get the footage or having to record it themselves. I plan to eventually do playthroughs of every Zelda game in the series, with the current project being Ocarina of Time 3D. However, as of now, there's full 100% playthroughs of Spirit Tracks, Phantom Hourglass, Skyward Sword HD, Wind Waker HD, and Minish Cap. But I'm also uploading footage for other games, whether it be Horizon Forbidden West, or one of my favorites, Slime Rancher. They look so freaking adorable! I already have a ton of footage stockpiled for other projects not yet released, including Stardew Valley, Terraria Master Mode, Lego City Undercover, and the Pokemon series. In fact, one of the bigger playthroughs I'm working on at the moment is a 100% Pokédex completion playthrough of Legends Arceus. Anyone who's looking for footage is free to use this in their own videos, and credit isn't required, although appreciated. I'll have a link to the channel below, so feel free to check it out if you're interested. And now, back to today's video. Often, we're only told a fraction of the overall narrative when it comes to games in the Zelda series. Key details are either lost to history with the passage of time, or rewritten by those who wish to conceal the truth. Whether it be the residents of Skyloft who remain blissfully ignorant of the surface below, or the events which led up to the Great Flood of Wind Waker. And who can forget the most recent installment into the franchise, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild? While much is known about what transpired 100 years ago, the same can't be said for the events predating the creation of Sheikah technology used to defeat Calamity Ganon. In fact, one of the most discussed topics regarding its sequel is the mysterious tribe responsible for the numerous ruins scattered across Hyrule. A group which, according to legend, suddenly disappeared thousands of years ago. Were they simply forgotten due to the passage of time, or was their disappearance due to more sinister reasons? A tribe written out of the history books by those in power as an attempt to hide something or someone. Often it's said that history is written by the victors. We're only ever given a single perspective of events, regardless of how accurate it is. But the truth always has a way of rearing its ugly head. The more one tries to hide something, the more likely it is to come to light. Or in this case, shadow. Our investigation begins to the west of Hyrule Field, in a small quaint village at the foot of Death Mountain. Once home to the mysterious Sheikah tribe, this location now acts as a humble settlement opened up to the poor folk of Hyrule Kingdom. But looks can be deceiving. What appears to be an innocent village holds a dark secret. One that is considered to be a taboo subject among the royal family. Directly behind the village's graveyard is an elevated platform, seemingly cut off from the rest of the area. Inside the dimly lit tunnel, a central chamber with a sealed door. When this entrance was sealed is unknown, but one thing is clear: visitors are clearly not welcome here. Eventually, this entrance would be opened by the Hero of Time, giving him access to the Seventh Temple, and with it, all the horrific secrets this place had to offer. The Shadow Temple consists of numerous chambers filled with traps and undead creatures, guillotines, moving saw blades, rotating statues equipped with deadly scythes, and falling platforms covered in spikes. It's no wonder that the royal family wiped this place from the kingdom's history. Knowing that such a place existed would be enough to make someone's stomach churn. Judging from the bloodstains and rooms built out of human remains, it's clear that many lost their lives here, with multiple jail cells throughout the dungeon and crypts left undisturbed for time immemorial. Perhaps this is why the Shadow Temple is filled with undead creatures. They're the restless souls of people who fell victim to both the dungeon itself and whoever was responsible for it. According to the Hyrule Encyclopedia, the Shadow Temple was a place used by the Sheikah to interrogate enemies of the royal family. While it is rather vague with the description, it's not hard to believe that the prisoners held here were frequently tortured and even executed. The passage goes on to say that, because of its dark history, the Shadow Temple is considered a taboo subject. While the Hyrulean royal family is responsible for keeping the peace, along with the protection of the Triforce in some cases, they're by no means perfect. In fact, many times it's their foolish decisions which lead to the destruction of the kingdom, the excavation of Sheikah technology which Calamity Ganon takes over, or misplaced trust into individuals who later bring ruin to the land. As stated in the book, the Shadow Temple may very well be yet another one of the royal family's mistakes. To be perfectly honest, there are a lot of things about this temple which are viewed as absolute truths, which technically aren't as black and white as they seem. This video will cover a variety of popular theories regarding the Shadow Temple, as well as my own thoughts and ideas. When researching for this video, one of the first things that stood out to me was the timeline of events and how it relates to Bongo Bongo's seal. The entity is first encountered at Kakariko Village, where it emerges from the well and attacks both Sheik and the player. We're given more information about Bongo Bongo immediately after this encounter. As always, we'll be looking at the Japanese translations. Link, a very unusual thing has happened. The Dark Monster has resurrected. That dark monster was sealed at the bottom of the well by the power of Impa, the leader of Kakariko Village. But that monster's power grew too strong and, with the well seal broken, it has now appeared above ground. Impa must have gone to the Temple of Darkness to face it and seal it once more, but as things are now, she's in danger. Given this information, we know that prior to this encounter with the Shadow Beast, Bongo Bongo was sealed deep beneath the well. This same location is visited by a young hero of time in search of the Lens of Truth, and acts as a sort of mini-dungeon. However, when you think about it from a story perspective, it's rather odd that Link would find himself in an area which, according to the lore, is currently holding a powerful monster. If Bongo Bongo was sealed up prior to the hero's departure into the well, you'd think that there would be some signs of its presence. Especially since entering this place could bring about some risks of potentially breaking the seal put on this entity. Remember that it was Impa who sealed the monster, someone who is present in both the past and future. If Bongo Bongo really was sealed then, you'd think that people would have been talking about it, and even warning the hero to stay far away from the well. Because of this, I believe that Bongo Bongo was sealed inside of the well sometime during the 7-year gap that happens once Link obtains the Master Sword and opens up the Sacred Realm to Ganondorf. This also raises the question of where he was before his confinement within the well, and whether he even existed at this point, a topic I'll go into more later in this video. Now, this is the part where things get rather strange. As previously established, once Bongo Bongo broke free from beneath the well, Impa traveled to the Shadow Temple in an attempt to seal the creature. A seal which supposedly breaks in the cutscene before this dialogue, as we see the village on fire in the background, as well as a nearby structure being ripped from its foundation and hurled into the air, only for a dark shadow to emerge from the well and attack Link. So, what's the problem here? It comes from something said by an NPC in Impa's house. This house is Lady Impa's house. She headed out to the graveyard to seal a monster. Since monsters are running loose ever since Ganondorf showed up, the peace of this village is protected by Lady Impa. Speaking of which, Lady Impa hasn't come back yet. Did something happen to her? It's safe to assume that the events referenced here are the very same as the ones mentioned by Sheik. Both are describing the events following the resurrection of Bongo Bongo. The problem with this dialogue isn't what's said, but when it's said. The player can encounter this NPC as soon as visiting Kakariko Village for the first time as an adult, and yes, he says the same thing. Assuming that this isn't a mistake by the developers, it means that by the time Link awakens from his 7-year slumber, the seal on the well has already been broken. One thing which solidifies this idea is how the player doesn't encounter Impa until after completing the Shadow Temple, and when you think about it, this would be a pretty huge oversight on behalf of the game devs. It's definitely not a translation error, as the quote referenced comes directly from the Japanese version of the game. To me, this discovery is incredibly weird since I've always assumed that the seal on the well was broken in the cutscene. And it means that even after breaking said seal, Bongo Bongo chose to stay inside of the well for reasons? One possibility is that, similar to Skyward Sword, Bongo Bongo emerged from the well as a response to the sacred power of the Master Sword. In the former, the imprisoned breaks its seal right before Link is about to strike the deactivated Gate of Time with the Master Sword. It's a bit of a coincidence that Demise chooses to appear now, which Impa theorizes is a reaction to the blade's sacred power. So the same could be said with Bongo Bongo, except in this case the seal was already broken. So, let's talk a bit more about Bongo Bongo himself. All we know about its origins is that it was, at some point, sealed in the well by Impa. Because there are a multitude of theories surrounding this topic, we're going to cover some of the more prominent ones, as well as my own thoughts on the matter. First, to answer the question of Bongo Bongo's whereabouts prior to the seal beneath the well. Regardless of how this entity came into being, I think it's safe to say that it was born in the Shadow Temple. According to Rauru, Ganondorf's evil power radiated from the temples of Hyrule once he obtained the Triforce, transforming Hyrule into a world of monsters. As Link travels to each location, he must rid the temples of their curses so that the sages awaken to their power, these curses taking the forms of powerful monsters. Something which makes sense, as Ganondorf's power would have likely been greatest at the temples, since this quote suggests them to be the source of all monsters. Going off from this bit of information, the simplest explanation to give regarding Bongo Bongo's origins is that it was a demon created by Ganondorf after he broke into the Sacred Realm and got his hands on the Triforce of Power, with one of the biggest pieces of evidence supporting this theory coming from what we've already discussed regarding the Gerudo King and his evil powers. However, it's also worth noting that while Ganondorf's power is the reason these powerful beings plague the temples in the present day, their origins is a different matter altogether. The two best examples of this are the Spirit and Fire Temples. The former's boss was Twin Rova, who, according to the lore, are Ganondorf's surrogate mothers, a pair of witches we see in both the past and future. And then there's Volvagia, said to be an ancient dragon which lived in the heart of Death Mountain. According to legend, it was defeated by a Goron wielding the Megaton Hammer. This creature is later revived by Ganondorf, acting as the boss of the Fire Temple. So we know that this dragon existed long before Ganondorf's invasion of the Sacred Realm. Because of this, it's hard to say with definitive proof whether Bongo Bongo was created by Ganondorf or has already existed in the Shadow Temple prior to the Demon King's rise in power. And now, it's time to look deeper into that second possibility. Perhaps Bongo Bongo was once a deity, now corrupted by the dark powers of Ganondorf. In the past, we've had several dungeon bosses act as guardians of sacred locations, including Godin from Tower of the Gods and Mazal from the Fortress of Winds. One can't help but notice the similarities between each boss, as many of these guardians tend to be a head with disembodied hands. Now, admittedly, there isn't much evidence to this theory. However, in both the Shadow Temple and beneath the well are wall statues of a creature who almost looks like he's imprisoned in a pillory or guillotine. A lot of people have already pointed out how Bongo Bongo's appearance resembles a person who's had their hands and head cut off. Now, this whole theory depends on whether you consider Bongo Bongo's eye to be his actual head or not. It also is possible that this is the boss's true face, but I'm not entirely sure. But what's by far the most popular theory is that Bongo Bongo was once a villager residing in Kakariko Village. Shikashi tells us that long ago there was a man who had an eye that could see the truth. According to the old man, normally this is something you'd have to train your mind's eye strenuously to do, but this person had a different way of doing things, and that his house once stood where the well is now. It's very likely that this individual was the previous owner of the Lens of Truth. Whether he himself created it or stumbled across it is unknown, but there's an overwhelming amount of evidence to suggest that the two are connected. The Japanese version also refers to this item as the Lens of Truth, and translations of Shikashi's quote retain the phrasing of seeing or ascertaining the truth. Second is that this person's house once stood where the well is, and beneath the well is where a young hero of time finds the relic. The Lens of Truth is one of many Sheikah artifacts meant to give normal folk the power of the Sheikah, a third eye if you will. Even the design itself resembles a Sheikah eye. This wording also suggests that the previous owner of the Lens of Truth wasn't a Sheikah, but I'm not entirely sure if this truly was the case. Remember that Kakariko Village used to be a Sheikah settlement, and was only recently opened up to the common folk. But on the other hand, a Sheikah wouldn't need this relic since its whole purpose is to give one the powers of the Sheikah. So perhaps this person really did create the Lens of Truth. But it's not impossible for this person to have been a Sheikah, since after all, you'd probably need a Sheikah to craft this sort of item. On the other hand, Shikashi's statement also suggests that anyone can gain the powers of the Sheikah through strenuous training of the mind's eye. One of the guards stationed at Gerudo Valley tells Link of the 2 riddles of the desert. In order to cross the haunted wasteland, the player needs the Eye of Truth. As we later find out, this is referring to the Lens of Truth since it's needed to see the Phantom Guide. Either the Gerudo know of the Lens of Truth's existence, or this proves that anyone can train their mind's eye to see the unseen. After all, how else could they have gotten through the desert? Actually, this leads into another interesting idea that I just thought of. Perhaps the Phantom Guide was actually a Sheikah who could guide the Gerudo, and maybe the Gerudo like threatened the person and they killed them after they got through the desert. Would explain whether the Phantom Guide helps the hero. I don't know.
I'm liking this damn
On another note,
Cyber
it's
Dragon deck.
interesting to think that this item could have instead been the Mask of Truth. I will admit that it's way more likely to be the former since it's found beneath the well, which was once the same location as the man's house, but the mask is said to have been passed down by the Sheikah, has an eye on the front of it, and the powers to see into people's hearts and minds. In a way, it lets the user see the truth. With that said, while the localization does refer to it as the Mask of Truth, translations from the Japanese version use the phrasing, a Mask of Truth, which implies that more than one of this item exists. Another reason why Shikashi is likely referring to the Lens of Truth here. So, why do people believe that this man is the shadow fought at the temple? I think it mostly comes down to the fact that the Lens of Truth plays a huge factor in navigating the temple and its boss fight. There's also the detail about the man's house being where the well now stands, a place which acted as a sealing grounds for Bongo Bongo. And that's about it. The rest of this theory usually leads into a what-if scenario. Like, perhaps this Sheikah wronged the others and it led to his execution, but that's the overall gist of it. If there were more evidence, then I'd be inclined to agree. However, as it stands, Bongo Bongo being the man that can see the truth is not as solid of a theory that people make it out to be. Personally speaking, I believe that the Shadow Monster's origins are way more connected to the Shadow Temple itself rather than Kakariko Village. If this place was used to torture and execute enemies of the royal family, as stated by Hyrule Encyclopedia, perhaps Bongo Bongo is an accumulation of poor souls who lost their lives at the hands of the Sheikah, or to be more specific, the ones who were pulling the strings behind the scenes, the royal family of Hyrule. Even if we don't consider what's written in this book, the Shadow Temple is filled with blood splatter, jail cells, and equipment meant for execution and torture. Plus, you know, the hundreds of dead bodies throughout the dungeon. One of the key details to remember here is that anyone deemed an enemy in the eyes of the royal family would be punished, regardless of their actual crimes. Even someone who's simply vocal about their doubt or dislike of Hyrule's monarchy would be an easy target, especially since the servants of the royal family are the Sheikah, a race known for their ninja-like skills. In fact, it's entirely plausible that this would have occurred during the Hyrulean Civil War, the same war we're told about by the Deku Tree Sprout. However, there's nothing in the game that suggests that this has to be that same war. The events taking place within the Shadow Temple may have been during a completely different war altogether. Now, we already know that the Zelda series takes much inspiration from Japanese folklore and culture, one of the best examples being the substance known as malice. Malice quite literally being another word for hatred. Those who die with intense feelings of hatred or anger reanimate after death, such as Skyward Sword's cursed Bokoblin. Another recurring enemy in the series is the Po, who according to the Po Collector are spirits of concentrated hatred. very similar to the Yurei of Japanese folklore. Yurei are born from those who pass away through sudden or violent means, if the proper rites haven't been performed, or if they are influenced by powerful emotions, desire for revenge, sorrow, and yes, even hatred. Most of the monsters we see in the Shadow Temple are undead creatures, ones which have seemingly come back from the dead. Redeads, Gibdos, Stalfos, and who can forget the infamous Dead Hand? If these unrest souls were to accumulate,
Nothing scared
it
me
could
as a
very well
child.
be the origin story of Bongo Bongo himself. Perhaps even explain why he went after Kakariko Village after escaping his seal. There's a sort of poetic justice to it, since the brutal actions taken by the royal family and their followers would have come back to haunt them, quite literally.
There's really a grenade there?
You know, for a video all about the Shadow Temple, it's sure taken a long time to get to analyzing the temple itself. Well, I suppose that's only half true. We have been talking about it throughout this video, though up until now, the central focus has been on Bongo Bongo. Up until now, we've rolled with the idea of the Shadow Temple being solely used as a torture and execution chamber, but let's quickly look at some other possibilities. The first is that the Shadow Temple was actually used by Ganondorf during his reign of terror as a means of torturing and imprisoning those who rebelled against him. There are examples of this in the game, such as how he feeds the Gorons to Volvagia to instill fear in others. And we know that the Gerudo already have some connections to the lens of truth, or the concept of ascertaining the truth. But in my opinion, this idea seems unlikely at best. After all, why would there be a peaceful village right beside the place used by Ganondorf to torture those who defy him? It's also possible that this was a sort of training ground for the Sheikah. When you think about it, the placement of certain traps and guillotines seems very strange if they were meant for torture and execution. Not to mention that some of them are only visible with the lens of truth. In fact, this one detail could mean that the Shadow Temple was the strenuous training mentioned by Shikashi. Having an arena filled with traps only seen with one's third eye would make sense if that training was related to seeing the unseen. It's true that the Sheikah were gifted with Hylia's sight, but that doesn't mean no training would be required. This idea would also add credibility to the thought of the lens of truth being used by someone who wished to gain the power without putting in the effort. Another theory is that the temple may have been made to absorb and concentrate all the evil within Hyrule. I've always thought it strange that a sacred temple was used to torture and execute people, which makes this explanation feel more plausible. And who can forget the famous quote often referenced in Zelda videos? The Japanese version isn't so different, mentioning a dark history of desire and malice. Oh, and that's another interesting bit. Instead of being called the Shadow Temple, it's the Temple of Darkness. Now, if this Temple of Darkness was built to hold all of Hyrule's evil and malice, in a way it's similar to the purpose of the Ancient Cistern, temples solely built for purification purposes. The bottom of a cistern is filled with undead creatures and other evil, yet the top half is a serene paradise, clear waters and an atmosphere which contrasts the underground portion. But if this was the case, then what of the execution equipment? It could have been added to deal with the inevitable monster spawns, but there's still the torture equipment and jail cells. And there's one key detail we've yet to mention, that being the massive fairy-like boat at the end of the temple. At this point, my personal headcanon was that the Shadow Temple was once a sacred temple, later desecrated by the royal family for their own personal gain. It was transformed into an execution and torture chamber, used by the Sheikah to deal with those who were deemed enemies of Hyrule's monarchy. But there's one bit of evidence which felt out of place, found at the Forest Temple. In the corridor, just before the boss chamber, are several paintings. I remember coming across these when working on my Phantom Ganon theory, and at the time I didn't know what they were supposed to be of. But thanks to the user Nanoctero, we may know the answer to two of them. One is of the Temple of Time and its image being reflected in the water, and then there's this one. It's hard to make out at first, but once you see that long streak of red down the middle, it becomes more obvious. It's likely that this is a painting of the fairy within the Shadow Temple. more specifically the figure carved into the front of it. If this place wasn't always used as an execution chamber, why would a picture of this boat be found within the Forest Temple? It would mean that this ferry was around at the time of that temple's creation, and obviously this boat is meant to be connected to death. Perhaps this means that the Shadow Temple's original purpose was to send off the departed souls of the royal family. It makes sense since this dungeon does have ties to the Sheikah, who we know are servants of the royal family, and their village is close by. The golden bracelets around the arms are also reminiscent of the ones worn by Breath of the Wild Sheikah monks, who also have a mummified sort of appearance. Once again though, there's a problem. A massive problem. Both the Forest Temple's paintings and fairy design are exclusive to the 3DS version. In the original game, these paintings aren't present, and the design of the fairy in the Shadow Temple is completely different, instead being of the same figure seen throughout the temple. The reason this is an issue is because whether details from the 3DS version can truly be viewed as canon or not is unknown. But I never said that that was all the evidence there is. In fact, that evidence is the evidence exclusive to the 3DS version. Because on the deck of the ferry, in both the 3DS and N64 version, is a Triforce crest, one of many locations where the hero must play Zelda's Lullaby, a song passed down by the royal family. By doing this, the ferry will start moving across the river. If we are to believe that this vessel was involved in some sort of ceremony for the departed souls of the royal family, this detail makes a whole lot of sense. In addition, the graves for the royal families of Hyrule can be found in one location, that being Kakariko Village, directly outside of the Shadow Temple's entrance. And that's not all. There's more information regarding the ferry trip itself worth discussing. It's reminiscent of the Styx in Greek mythology, said to be a river of the underworld. It's said that the river Styx acted as a boundary between the underworld and Earth. So when the player rides this ferry, it's literally traversing between the realms of life and death. The icing on the cake? Japanese translations directly reference the ferry's trip into Hades/Underworld. Now, that sounds quite ominous. I mean, why would the royal family's souls be sent to hell? Well, in Greek mythology, the underworld represents the afterlife as a whole, which includes both heaven and hell. Going back to the bit on the Yurei, one cause of their creation is if proper rites aren't performed correctly. So that could very well be a reason why the Sheikah did a ceremony like send-off for the deceased members of the royal family. It was to make sure that none came back as a Yurei. Another detail which may point to this is Sheik's statement, where the Legend of the Temples refers to the Shadow Temple as a house of the dead. Now, even with this explanation, there's still a lot of bizarre things found within the temple. One of the first details which sticks out is the quote at the very beginning. The shadow will yield only to one with the Eye of Truth, handed down in Kakariko Village. Some believe that the shadow referenced here is referring to an individual person. Perhaps it's a sort of title or codename. If they were talking about normal shadows, this phrasing comes off as rather strange. However, if we once again look at the Japanese translations for this quote, there's no mention of a shadow. In fact, the beginning is completely different altogether. Next are the bird-like figures scattered across the Shadow Temple. The pointy ears and long beak give it a very sinister look. The first thing that comes to mind is its similarity to Anubis, a jackal-headed deity whose job was to guide souls into the afterlife. He was also involved in another ceremony where the deceased's heart was placed on one side of a scale with the other holding a feather. This determined whether the soul could enter the realm of the dead or instead be devoured by Ammit. The biggest issue here comes from the fact that the former's design is clearly based off of a bird, while Anubis always takes on a canine appearance. But just by looking at the proportions, there's clearly some similarities here. Many depictions of Anubis have elongated mouths and long pointy ears, which also happens to be true for the bird statues. So the game developers may have taken inspiration from Anubis' design while making these statues. The real kicker is that Anubis is actually the Greek form of the Egyptian word Anpu, meaning to decay. Quite interesting since we went over the previous connections to Greek mythology. Also, remember how I said the design of the ship is completely different in the N64 version? In the original, the design of the front of the ship is one of these bird statues, with another one on a wall further up the chamber, almost as if Anubis himself is guiding the souls to the afterlife. Another type of statue is also present in the Shadow Temple's biggest chamber, that being the rat figures. There's not nearly as much to go off of, but when looking into the significance of rats, I came up with a couple possibilities. The first is quite obvious. Rats tend to be associated with filth or uncleanliness, a description rather fitting for a sacred temple now used to commit atrocities. Second is that rats often represent greed and or thievery. Judging from what's said near the beginning of the Shadow Temple, it being a place of desire and malice, this aligns quite well with that interpretation. And we actually have a perfect example of this in the Wind Waker, where the rats can sometimes steal Link's rupees, and will even share some of their spoils to the hero when given some bait. In fact, rats are reoccurring enemies in the Zelda series, making the existence of rat statues in the Shadow Temple a lot.
Alright, we'll start streaming a little bit later. I'm gonna go get something to eat. Alright, bye.